a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media. Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section. This is the end. What's funny? Why are you laughing already?
I'm crying. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's been a long time coming, let's just say that.
When the tears come
since we can't just be cool, I'll tell the people who are listening on Christmas. We just had like 45 straight minutes of technical issues because I decided I wanted to stream this to our Discord server. That didn't work. So we're already delirious.
Hey,
You're welcome. We're warmed up.
Taking 35 minutes to come is totally fine as long as you have a partner that's in it for the ride. And I think every single person here has been in it for the ride.
So, future notes, 20 minutes before starting the new visual medium, not enough time.
The next time we finish an entire Harry Potter podcast.
I wouldn't have done it any other way. You know what I mean?
Really? You sure?
All right. Well, maybe it could have. Maybe it could have worked a little sooner, but it seems appropriate. Okay. Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Ron.
Happy Christmas, Harry.
Hi.
Also, happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts on Christmas this year.
Oh, wow.
It happens once like a decade, I feel like it's happened before. Happy whatever else you're celebrating, but today is Christmas and the first night of Hanukkah. So, extra happy those things. How are you guys all feeling being here at the end?
I'm a little suspicious because I think the last 3 to 4 episodes that I've guested on were the end in some capacity, and I don't know if this is actually the end.
Everyone's burnt out. It's like Return of the King.
It does kind of feel like Return of the King.
Brooke, how are you feeling? We open at the close or whatever. How are you feeling here at the end?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I was crazy. I was thinking about this on my walk today, and I was like, when we started recording the audio for this podcast, I wasn't even married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so many years ago.
It does feel that way. Yes, it does feel so very, very long ago. Andrew, how are you feeling right now?
I'm fine. I'm not worried I'm going to start crying on a random Zoom call. That's not in my possible future, so I'm doing fine.
Me neither. I'm actually pretty grateful for the 45 straight minutes of technical issues because I do think that I'm primed to not be so emotional now.
Yep.
I'm delirious. I've already had a whole glass of wine. Oh my God. Okay. So I thought it'd be fun to start with the restricted section, Wrapped. Okay. I did math.
So you're going to rap for us.
About math.
Somebody get a
My
beat.
name's Christina, and I'm here to say that Harry Potter died one day. No, just kidding. He's the boy who lived, and now this is your Christmas present that I give.
You could have just gone with this as your Christmas gift, and you almost had it. It was within reach.
Damn it. Okay, I did math. I just want to say it again. I'm going to say it a third time. I did math. Okay, the restricted section. So far... Oh my God, I don't even need to say so far because it's the end. The restricted section. As a team, we have read 199 chapters.
We just couldn't make it to 200.
And I know, and that's including the epilogue.
Oh, I hate that.
I know. Okay, but this is a much better number. Our number of pages read, I did not round this. This is the number, if you're looking at the original hardcover Scholastic editions that I think a lot of us have. 4,100. What a number.
That's nice.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
nice.
Do you think that was intentional?
No. I think so few things were intentional when this book series was coming together. The restricted section has released 240 episodes.
I was really confused for a second because you were like, oh, this is how many episodes we've released. And I was like, well, that's different than the number of chapters. And then I was like, well,
Sure
yeah.
is.
Ah,
It sure is.
correct.
That means we've done 41 bullshit episodes.
It means we've done Harry Potter extra credit. Why?
Fuck.
Come on, we know ourselves. We were always going to do the Harry Potter extra credit. There was never a chance.
We have published 332 hours
Oh, damn.
of podcasts.
That's a lot of hours.
How many days is that?
We have donated the amount that we have donated to charities. It was $767.70.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When I did this math, at first my impulse was to be embarrassed that it wasn't more. But I reminded myself, and I'm also just going to like be very transparent with you listeners, that that is 100% of the money that we did not use to produce this podcast. And I think that's a great number. 100%
Yeah.
is a great number.
It would be hard to get more than that.
That was indeed all net proceeds. Like,
Yes. Most of that went to Camp Lilac, which is, I've mentioned before, they're a camp that is just for trans and gender nonconforming youth. We've also donated to our local queer nonprofit Diversity. We've donated several times to the Native American Rights Fund. So we've spread it around too, including a couple other random ones, just as I felt.
As
I
felt
felt.
appropriate.
Yes. This next one is most useful co-host.
Wait, based
Phrasing.
on what?
Based on how many episodes they've been on.
Oh, okay.
Who do you think is the most useful
Haley.
co-host?
It's got to be Haley.
It is really close, though.
It's either Haley or me, probably.
It's got to be Haley or Andrew, yeah.
Haley, including bonus episodes, Haley has been on 82 episodes.
wow, that's higher than I would have guessed.
Not to be this way, I've been on 240, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll have you indeed.
Andrew has been on 79. It was a margin of 3.
Wow.
That's 10 off from being nice.
Brooke has been on 58 episodes. Mary Clay has been on 50. And Leela has been on 49.
I was working with a child handicap for like a huge
I
portion
know.
of that. I was on maternity leave for 3 months.
We like acutely front loaded you on that.
Yeah.
Like you did so much in the beginning. And I think it's also impressive because Leela wasn't on the first like 4 seasons, but she still had 49 and Mary Clay had 50. So like y'all were all truly helpful. Most far-flung listeners. We have one listen in very, very many like random countries. So since there's 240 episodes, I took a look at only places with at least 240 listens. So we've had 403 listens in Ukraine,
Damn.
445 listens in Singapore, 492 in India, and 517 in Norway. Yeah, go Mots.
Just mods.
I think that's just Mott's listening to it like twice and then some.
Highlight suddenly. That's understandable.
The number of downloads as of December 18th, 2024, number of downloads, 210,764.
Jesus.
Yeah. Pretty impressed by that. Brooke, I think I gave you a different number yesterday because I'm bad at remembering numbers when we were chatting about this.
You did, and yet I wasn't going to call you out on it. You did that to yourself.
Okay, the king of howlers, person with the most emails sent in.
That's just mods.
It's Mott's.
Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Mott.
I love King of Howlers.
It's a great title.
Our shortest episode, we had our Harry Potter but Make It Gay in June 2023. That was a mere 31 minutes. But then our shortest chapter episode, I think everyone probably remembers, The Final Hiding Place, just a couple months ago, September 26th at 36 minutes. Mary Clay, I think you remember that one. We were like, well, I guess that's it. Our longest episode ever was The Battle of Hogwarts with Danny on October 23rd. I didn't remember to write down how long it was, but it was almost 3 hours.
It was long.
It was long. Our most listened to episode, and for this, I did not look at our first season because you guys probably know that like the first like 5 episodes have a lot of listens, but our most listened to episode outside of that is actually the Yule Ball featuring Fauna from Cat's Tea and Witchcraft in February 2022 with about 1,500 listens.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
people love the Yule Ball.
I get it. I love the Yule Ball. If I was trying to assess a Harry Potter podcast, I would imagine I might start there.
Yeah, that would be a good litmus test.
Yeah, you're totally right. my final restricted section rap statistic, the most people on one episode.
Oh, that's got to be like the
right?
first episode, right?
How many people do you think it was?
Hold on, no, I got this.
8 or 9, right?
I think it was 7.
It was 8 people. The only time we had 8 was chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4, because both Mike and Mary Peyton showed up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. They didn't often show up at the same time. That was the one time everyone was there. So that's restricted section wrapped. How do you like those stats? I did math.
I'm so
Congratulations.
proud, and you are so brave and strong.
Okay, I have
Thank
a real
you.
question. A lot of those were
Yeah.
like one number. Did you actually do math, or did you just like look?
Or did you
Okay.
just compare numbers
I
automatically generated?
counted. I did counting. I had to make a spreadsheet to add up the time because you can't add time on a calculator. I made a spreadsheet.
I think it counts.
Thank you. Next on the list, we have an email from Steven. Woo, woo, woo. Stephen Heham writes, hi, Christina. My name is Stephen Heham, and I found your pod through Hey Riddle Riddle. Shout out once more to Adel Rafai, who got us, I think, 95% of our listeners, and the other 5% is from Tolkien About. I started listening from the beginning because I'm not a monster who starts podcasts halfway through.
Oh, poor choice.
Can we recommend the Yule Ball? And have loved hearing your thoughts, friendships, and shenanigans. My very hairy history is that my extended family went to a church that did not like Harry Potter, but my nuclear family's church was more accepting. And my parents gave us the books early on. I went to many midnight release parties for both the books and the movies, and ended up winning a costume contest at the 8th grade movie. At the 8th grade, at the 8th movie release by dressing with a friend as wizards dressed like muggles. Basically, at the last minute, we decided to dress up and found the most clashing outfits possible and threw on a fun hat for giggles. This costume has been reprised several times and never fails to entertain those that see it, or at least myself. Love that, Stephen. I have read the books both with my eyes and ears dozens, if not hundreds of times at this point, but I found your pod as a better alternative to this given the author's not so newly discovered opinions. First of all, shout out to Ashley, who just dropped on us that she
I'm
found
like,
this podcast
Yeah,
on
that's
Reddit.
terrifying.
Where in
What?
Reddit?
Yeah, what did we broke containment?
That's awesome.
When did we break containment?
I have no idea, but I'm obsessed with this. Stephen continues, I wanted to catch up to the present before I emailed so I wouldn't repeat anything you already mentioned, but I keep seeing new episodes released that are quickly approaching the end of the series, and I am still behind. I fear I will not catch up in time, but wanted to get an email to you to express both my thanks and share some thoughts I hope you enjoy. I tried to abbreviate them as much as possible and failed mostly, so feel free to share all, none, or some. I already have abbreviated a lot of this email, but I'm very excited about Stephen. Here's one thing Stephen says. Nigel says Spotify recommended you guys to me. Ugh, I love this. I love this.
We're in too deep.
Niall says they heard about us from Niall Dame. Wait, I'm trying to figure out if that's Maddie, who just dropped into our Discord server earlier today. Okay, if you're new, I'm bad at names. Said Cat's Tea and Witchcraft. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Okay, Stephen says in his email, why would Charlie have handed his wand down to Ron?
There's a possible answer of that.
What is it?
The wand was not original to Charlie.
Oh,
Okay.
true.
It might have been a hand-me-down when Charlie got it. Charlie finally made prefect or something, got his own wand, and passed the wand down to Ron.
Okay. I like that.
I believe it.
I just still look. You want to eat the rich in our world. Like, imagine your whole basis of being able to perform magic and go to school is based on possession of a wand that is expensive in such a way that most families can't afford.
Restrictively,
Yeah, it's
prohibitively
fucked.
expensive.
Restricted sexually. Ashley says on via the regarding the Reddit thing, it was a random comment made in a random thread about Harry Potter podcast. Someone replied to some comment and said, "God, I missed the restricted section when we took a break." Which has never been more than like a 6-week break.
It was
You're the
summer
person-
vacation.
Wait, that person who left that comment has to be in this chat, right?
I have no
Like,
idea. If it's you, stand up. Ashley, I am so fucking glad you read that thread because I'm really, really love having your friendship. Okay. Becca in the chat says maybe Charlie's was Gideon or Fabian's wand and they gave it to him because they didn't need it anymore. Okay, next question, Becca. Who are Gideon and Fabian?
Those were Molly's brothers, the Pruitt brothers.
Yep.
Becca answers so quickly. Shout out to Becca. Okay, that tracks. I think there's several things got from Weasley uncles in this series.
I love that Tekena just follows up with a, they died.
They died.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, thanks.
Steven's next question. And I promise there's not a lot of like Harry Potter detail questions in this episode. There's just a couple. Wanted to give Steven a platform.
Good, because I remember nothing.
Why would Dumbledore have some of the Horcrux memories we see in Book 6? The Ogden memory specifically is from the 20s, I think, and Voldemort didn't come to Hogwarts until the 40s. Plus, Ogden died some time ago. Was Dumbledore investigating Tom before he was Voldemort? Was it related to the Chamber of Secrets and the Ogden memory linked Tom to Parseltongue? Or was he searching for the Deathly Hallows and the connection to Voldemort was simply coincidence?
When did Ogden die? Because there's when the memory took place.
Some time ago.
Okay, so, like, it could have just been that Dumbledore was... Because Dumbledore had definitely been investigating Tom for a while. So... And wizards also live, like, a stupid long time. So he could have found Bob in retirement and been like, hey, do you remember one particular case when you went to this weird-ass house?
Okay. Or maybe the Ministry has to keep like sensitive stuff on file. Their memories on file.
Or maybe you can just loot a body for memories when it dies.
Whoa.
Loot
or at least like
loot that body now.
maybe until like a certain level of decay. I'm just thinking about how you eventually become a skeleton.
I feel like if brain is soup, you can't do memories from it, right?
Yeah.
I will say that Steven finishes this question by saying, I don't have a ton of answers to this one, but I just like I liked having the think on it and trying to justify it.
Well, and we know that Dumbledore never believed Voldemort was actually gone. So, like, even after the death of the first death, you know, in quotes, he would have been searching for shit. So I'm sure this is a very long form pastime of his that we're only seeing like the last few years of, you know?
What if he has an arsenal of other people's memories just in case? Like the Morty's Mind Blowers episode of Rick and Morty.
Dumbledore has a bunch of like would-be like Dark Lords that never quite got their shit together. He has a whole section of them.
They could be so evil if they just knew how to keep their phone calendar organized.
What if he was just trying to write the definitive biography and then stumbled upon everything else?
Doesn't he have like a whole cabinet of like little bottled memories labeled in the movie, like organized alphabetically?
That's just literally Morty's Mind Blower.
Yeah, straight up.
Next, Steven says, my belief is that Harry is always late to school because the author would rather not have to come up with 7 distinct Sorting Hat songs. That is the answer.
Yeah.
Correct.
Steven goes on, you asked at one point why the Horcrux and Harry didn't die with the basilisk venom in book 2 and claimed it was shoddy writing. Although I don't necessarily disagree with that conclusion, I believe it can be explained as the vessel of the Horcrux needs to be destroyed, which for a living host would mean death. No dead Harry, no destroyed Horcrux.
Wow. Steven, you did it.
I buy it.
Yeah.
I buy it.
Yeah,
did
fair
it.
point.
You unhold the plot.
Steven,
You plugged it right up.
I've got terrible news for you. If you had sent this email like 4 years ago, you probably would have been on the show. So
Oh, that's a damn
I am
shame, Steven.
so sorry
Oh,
whenever
God.
you get to this point, but like, man, it probably would have been you and me or you and Haley. And
Yeah, because they are the very friendly ones that I would put on with like people I didn't know very well to make them feel at ease.
We're not threatening, y'all.
I'm threatening.
With your like Harley Quinn pigtails right now, just like I'm threatening.
Okay, sure.
right
You
into
say
the
that
camera.
now, but would you ask for my number at a bar?
I would.
I
yes.
don't do that.
I'm brave.
I would have
Is your
no
point
reason.
how hot you look or how threatening you look?
No, I just like I it's a thing I know about myself that I am
that you're threatening.
apparently threatening.
I would though, because I'm brave, and you would smile at me.
Would I?
Yes, you would. You'd give me that eyebrow though, and I'd be like, gotta shoot my shot. Her hair is 2 colors. I gotta try.
Brooke, I think it's fair to say that you and I both knew that we were destined to be great platonic friends and nothing more the moment that we met each other. I think we both just realized, like, yeah.
Are we basing this on any particular memory?
The fact that he's kissed me and Haley.
Oh, right. I forgot everyone else. Wait, hold on. Everyone else on this call has kissed.
Yeah, we just kissed.
Like every possible combination.
Kissed.
The only pairing that has not kissed is me and Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I have kissed both of you, huh? Yeah.
Oh,
Brooke,
This has
Takena
happened.
says she liked being on the show
that's
with you.
very kind.
Takena, also brave. Okay, next from Steven. What does George see in the mirror of Erised? Just himself with an ear, aka Fred? Meanwhile, I like to think that adult Ginny just sees herself holding birth certificates without stupid names for her children. I love it.
Burn.
And our last from Steven. Gifts Harry receives from the Dursleys could be seen to represent the Hallows. He gets like weird shitty gifts for Christmas. The coin is the stone in the first book. The toothpick is the wand in the second. And the single tissue is the cloak. Bit of a stretch, but still fun to consider. Thank you so much, Steven. Your entire email was very fun to consider. I was very glad to hear from you.
Yeah, that was fun. That's gotta be a coincidence, right?
I feel like it's
I think
gotta
so,
be.
but it's gotta be, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
Steven-
that's great.
Yeah. Steven, I feel like what you just did is the equivalent of all those people who have written essays in high school about different literature that they tried to like make explanations on. And the teacher just went, yes, that's what they
Yes.
meant. That is what they're thinking. And the reality is you just made the author better.
That's the kind of thing that happens in writing classes when like your classmates point out something that you didn't realize that you did, and you like when you say, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that," the teacher's like, "Shut up, shut your damn whore mouth. Yes, you did. You lie about that. You lie."
Whoa.
They're very intense about it. They're like, never ever admit it was an accident.
Haley went to an art school that
Yes.
really, they just fucking went hard.
It's the only thing they went hard about.
All right, next we have an email from Ben. Thank you so much for this email, Ben. I do not believe Ben provided pronouns, so we're going to go with a safe they, them. We're going to they, them, and you could also them, you know, when you're like, I'm going to they, them.
If you're Southern enough.
Yes.
Hello, Christina et al. That's you guys.
Woo, shout out. All right, well, I'm done for the night. Have a great one.
No. There's a way better shout out for you later. And sure, hold in there. Is it et al. Or et al?
It's at all.
Okay. This email has been sitting in my drafts folder for way too long, so I want to make sure I get in before the podcast ends. Hopefully I'm not too late and you haven't recorded the final episode already. Haha.
You just made it.
Safe.
Save.
That was a sports joke.
You did great.
Okay, so Ben says, Fred and George were willing to part with the Marauders map because they had studied it enough by then and figured out how to make one of their own. I love that. I love that.
That tracks.
Yeah.
What if they could apply that technology, though, to, like, other things? Here's the thing. They do jokes, which is admirable because they could probably make way more money being like, yeah, interactive map of the Ministry of Magic, like, available at a very high price to whoever the fuck wants to rob it.
Yeah, right, yeah. I think the only thing getting in the way is knowing what Molly would do to them if she ever found out, which eventually she would.
Yeah, that is a big threat. But, well, no, because then Fred's dead. I was going to say, George names his daughter after Molly. How mad could you get after that?
True.
I'm at the end of the series mentally. The whole rest of the series is gone.
So maybe later in life, George is like, I'm gonna pull the heist that we always talked about, but never did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
George snuffs out a cigarette as he turns around in a smoky bar and says, "How you doing, Lee? You ready for one last job?"
I was just about to say, the heist music starts and he turns around and first it's Lee Jordan.
Yep.
Of
You
course.
son of a bitch, I'm in.
Who else is in the heist?
Ron.
Charlie says his son Fred. Ron, okay, he'll do it, but what's he good for? A lookout? Maybe. Oh, he has a driver's license. He can be the getaway driver.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Okay, who else is into tomfoolery?
I feel like Luna could be convinced to like
Absolutely.
the comms person that sits like away from everything and is just like I'm in. Like that's
She's their guy in the chair.
yeah.
Yes, the most like useless guy in the chair though, because she doesn't actually like send the right data to the right
You're like,
people.
Luna, I need an extraction. And she's like, did you know that humblinging double-beams are migrating at this time of year?
It's especially interesting because by unknown laws of science, the humdinging Witherbee can't fly.
So Kenna points out that the twins clearly didn't look at the Marauders map at all because they missed the extra dude in their brother's room, which remains a good point.
I think they just were very progressive.
Our podcast-wide theory from when we were talking about this when it was going on in the books is that they were just like, love who you love, we're asking no questions.
Yep.
Ron's boyfriend Peter.
Yeah.
It's not like they keep track of the first years.
But in bed, okay, whatever. If my 11-year-old was in bed with anyone, I'd be like,
yeah, but
we need to talk.
But he's not their 11-year-old.
He's not there. I guess, whatever. I guess you're right.
If we're filling out the team, I think all of us agree Katie Bell and Angelina Johnson are there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Katie Bell, I don't know if we know enough about her, but Angelina, yeah, for sure.
And then I got a wild card for you. I bet they bring Ludo Bagman out of fucking retirement.
Oh my god.
And they're like, you're a fucking cheat and a scoundrel.
But you're a professional.
And you know the ministry.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
know the ministry.
This wasn't a discussing question that I added to later in this episode, but I do wish we had gotten more Ludo Bagman. He was a really
yes.
fun character.
A lot of potential.
Yep.
And a lot of lack of writing skill by not utilizing that potential.
I know. He's like just like a dancing idiot red herring, but I love him. Ben goes on. Apparate is always capitalized. We've been having a huge stink about this because it's a registered trademark within the wizarding world and you have to pay license fees to use it. There's also generic non-brand name teleportation, but it's a more complicated spell and or more dangerous.
It's
I like
Okay.
it. I like it.
Personally, I don't use Apparate. I use Slick Flick. It's a really quick...
Safe.
Yeah.
Slick. Other terms like owl treats, that's the one I've been throwing the biggest stink about, are always capitalized because the author is a self-important prick. Wow, Ben, I think you're onto something here.
Ben, you also might have been on an episode.
Okay, then Ben says something really smart about the point system of sports and how Quidditch makes more sense if you look at it this way. Hey, Ben, I love you so much. Thank you for listening. I'm going to skip to the next
Yeah,
one.
sure.
But it is a good point. The wizarding world in Harry Potter is built on a pretty right-wing foundation. Unless I'm mistaken, the stated in-universe reason why they want to hide themselves from muggles is essentially, if they knew about us, then everyone would want magical solutions to all their problems, and boy, that would be annoying. Instead of helping, they go to great lengths to conceal how much power they have to avoid having to share it.
Yeah.
That's a really good perspective.
It also prevents those poor wizards and witches from being able to like go out and make money doing that stuff, providing those services for them. Like, there's a lot of classism and prevention of wealth.
Arthur Weasley could have gone into Muggle school. That could have been a legit
founded the fucking program.
Like he could have been an early programming god, and he had the misfortune to be born a pureblood wizard.
I mean, it's also possible. I mean, it's basically the Wakanda problem, right? From Black Panther. Similar idea, just technology v magic.
Okay, but there's like a global arc. By global, I mean like a national arc in that film where at the end they're like, no, we are going to help other people. And that's so super satisfying.
Yes, but I'm wondering if basically the wizards are looking on at the rest of Muggles and being like, it's not bad enough to intervene yet.
Wow, okay.
Like, maybe they hit a point. But also, like, they kind of create worse villains than the Muggle world does, you know what I mean? Like, if you... like they're the ones that fuck things up more often.
Yeah, and if you've got someone who's just deciding to fuck things up, again, wizards, their top priority at all times is to be all about the drama.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody is committing to being an asshole, they're committing to being an asshole in a theater kid way.
Mm.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
over the top on purpose, like Voldemort. I guess what I'm saying is that if the wizarding and muggle worlds actually existed side by side, I as a muggle wouldn't necessarily want any smoke with those problems.
Well, and just throwing it
Interesting.
out there, I'm pretty sure we see references to democratic governments on the wizarding magic using side going back way further than they existed in the actual history. Like, I'm pretty sure we see like stuff from the Wizardgamut in like the 1300s and stuff like that. So there's also the possibility that they looked at the non-magical world and were like, we're not gonna. That's not worth saving.
They're looking at the non-magical world like an avocado. They're like, it's not ready yet, it's not ready yet, it's not ready yet.
Right.
It's cooked. It's fucking cooked. It's done.
It's over. It's done. No good. No good.
It's gone bad.
We'll plant the seed and try again in a few generations.
But it's funny because in a lot of ways, the Muggle world has like completely surpassed them.
Yeah, but like they're
in
so like
in technology.
stuck in the like period when they separated that they're just like, okay, well, nothing that they invented can possibly be that good. Like,
Well,
there's just like
yeah.
a universal dismissiveness.
This goes back to why it's like sad in the epilogue that we don't get like a little bit more anything.
I was like, if she doesn't say anything, I'm gonna say anything.
You know what I mean? But like, the idea of having them like trying to use a cell phone or like, legitimately.
God, the cell phone bit would have been really funny.
It would have. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we learned to drive. And I'm like, that's it? You looked at everything and you decided just cars?
Yeah, and not like texting?
Electricity? Just electricity?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there?
Yeah.
I mean,
electricity
y'all
sounds
got
good.
radio. It sounds like you could, like, maybe if the radio runs on magical radio waves, maybe there's a magical, like, phone, like, Wi-Fi signal y'all can crack. You did it once.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, just the phrase "magic
See,
Wi-Fi"
but like,
is funny.
by necessity, though, and not like seriously, like by necessity, it would require more acceptance of the Muggleborns, though,
Yeah.
because you've
And-
got to
and
have
they're
the
too
acceptance
locked
of those
into-
people, right? Those people who know how to like what the actual Muggles have, and being like, listen, this is way better. Like, owls are great. Don't get me wrong, super cute, love them. Not the most efficient way to send messages. Just not.
Mary Clay in the chat says they'll have flip phones by 2090.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, like, can you imagine as a Muggleborn kid in, like, the year of our Lord 2024 showing up to Hogwarts and being like, magic is cool and all, so you've never seen a TV. Just never.
Yeah.
It's what do you mean that you've never seen a TikTok? Like,
Yeah. Just like context. It's like how they say that if you showed like a modern movie to someone in the 20s, they would just be like, what the fuck is this? Like because there's no like cultural language,
Yeah.
of what's going on there. That's gotta be just all of going to Hogwarts as a Muggleborn in like the modern era, right?
and that's why they, I guess, try so hard to get Muggle-born kids as integrated into wizard society as possible, so that the kids never have a chance to interact with the wizarding world enough that they actually use the technology and realize how much more useful it is.
Yeah.
Quick question. Talk about technology and advancements, but what about like, what if you're Hermione and you get there and you're like, hey, where can I get more toothpaste? And they're like, what?
Both my parents are dentists.
Right. Like, how concerned are you at that point? Like, wait. We need to go down a full
You mean
rundown.
a toothbrushing spell? Wait, you mean a teeth cleaning spell?
Do they use spells for all of their washing?
We don't know. We don't
We
get
have
to
no
see
idea.
their toilet at all.
Well, we get a
Right.
bath,
We get a fucking weird
but we
bath.
don't know if
I'll
that's
say
a
it, that bath is
recreation only
weird.
bath.
There's a few, like, showers mentioned offhand,
Okay,
but,
but,
like,
like-
no apparatus.
Where's the Hogwarts commissary? Like, where are they getting
Right.
shampoo?
Do Hogwarts
From
students
home.
have access to ramen noodles?
Is it
That's what
provided
I
for
need to
them?
know. Like,
Who's to say?
Wow. Okay, guys, this is so many worms just all over.
we need to like write these down so that next time when we go through the series, we can think about
No.
these questions.
Like, what if you have dandruff and you use Head and Shoulders exclusively? Do you just have to bring a full year supply with you?
Yeah, like, what if you have specific needs? What if you have celiacs? Do you have to discuss this with the house elves?
Oh,
What if you have
my
acne
God.
medication?
Does that not work on the school grounds either? Too much magic in the air? Gotta curse your own nose off?
Your salicylic acid has no power here.
Okay. Ben goes on. Hey guys, we're still in the middle of Ben's email. Ben
sorry,
goes on
Ben.
to say. Ben goes on to say, before Harry Potter, I don't feel like witch was widely understood to be the female equivalent of wizard. Other fictional worlds feature female wizards. Ginlevia the Red jumps to mind, for instance. That's how you know they're from Hey Riddle Riddle. No, that's a Hello from the Magic Tavern. You know, same kind of guy.
Probably a double handshake on that.
Double handshake, thank you. I said same kind of guy. She said double handshake. Makes a lot more sense. Did Voldemort invent or at least popularize a gendered distinction within the wizarding community? Ho-ho, patriarchy wizarding community, for no apparent reason other than gender essentialism. What are our first gut thoughts about that?
I'm going to say no, just based on everything that I know about the history of that etymology.
Okay.
Like, I
yeah.
actually have, like, a whole library of just random books, and some of those are about, like, the history of witchcraft, and, like, there's one that's about witchcraft and religion and sociology from, like, an anthropological perspective.
Doesn't a witch, like, historically just imply that they get their powers from, like, a demonic source or a devil relationship or something
That's
like that?
part of it.
And then wizard is just general, like, I have access to spells from something.
Like, neither term is that distinct, but, like,
Mhm.
witch specifically has a cultural connotation of applying to it. Like, it can apply to men or women, but it mostly has historically applied to women.
Right.
Since the 16th century, the gender distinction has been made in the word witch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, if a male magic user is considered some kind of equivalent to a witch, because it also ties into, like, different kinds of magic. Like, witch usually applies to, like, a
Like they sucked on the
nature
teeth of
healing-
Satan and got
yeah,
their,
it's
you
like
know.
a type of magic that tends to be connected to medicine, but, like, was associated with devil worship. But like, a wizard was more associated with alchemy.
I would say that more than solidifying witch as the gendered alternative to wizard, I would say that it more solidified wizard as the companion to witch. Witch has been pretty
I'll agree with that.
has been pretty stable. I would say male magic users they kind of do like sorcerer, you get
Warlock.
Yeah.
you know, philosopher
Warlock.
in the UK, I guess, you know, you get wizard, you get like mage, like there are a lot of like dude names for magic use.
I think that there are, like, more options for, like, male male magic users, but I do think that, like, it tends to default to witch and wizard, like the Wizard of Oz. The wizard is a wizard, and then all of the
Yeah.
witches are witches, and when Glinda meets Dorothy, she's like, are you a good witch or a bad witch? She doesn't ask if she's a wizard.
I will say though that like that's probably the least magical magic instance I can think of.
Yeah,
So
but,
yeah,
like, I'm talking
that's
about the
true.
terms.
Mary Clay in the chat is saying like mage for gender neutral, and then in Witcher universe it's sorcerer for male, witch for female, and then Charlie brings up the very good point of Halloween Town is warlock and witch, and I feel like I've heard warlock and witch paired together quite often as well.
I've
Yes.
heard those, like, secondary to wizard and witch.
I think that I agree with you, Brooke, that I've heard all of these paired with witch, and I think what it comes down to is the fact that witch has a devilish connotation, and women who have power that comes from themselves and comes from nature are inherently bad.
Yeah.
Boys who do magic can be philosophers. They can be sage. They can be wise. They have all these other like varied etymologies and like varied intentions. And I think that that's what I'm seeing now from this conversation, is that there's this essentialism of a woman with magic that boils down to a witch, and that men get to be more diverse.
Yes. Well, and like the thing that I know a lot of people point to is like the Salem witch trials, right? But like, you got to remember, they're called the Salem witch trials because the majority of people were women, and that's what they were calling them.
Well, and that also, according to Enemy Online, is when the distinction between like witch and like man witch developed, was during exactly that time.
Fucking Mitches, man.
Mitches. Wait, that's so funny. I love the word Mitch. Oh my God. Okay, this was a great question, Ben. Thank you so much for bringing it up.
Fuck yeah, Ben. You are so much better than the other Ben that we regularly know in our life.
Why are you bringing him into our final episode? That Ben? Come on.
We're not going to give him airtime.
No one, literally like 4 people that will listen to this will know, and they're all on this call. So I feel perfectly fine saying that.
Ben goes on to say some other stuff. I'm skipping over some. I believe that when Dumbledore says, "Remember my last, Petunia," he is in fact talking about the shoemaking tool. Alas. I didn't know that was a thing. And I learned it. It's like the shape of a shoe that you put into the shoe to hold the shoe's shape.
I thought that
That's
was called
a
a shoehorn.
No, shoehorn
that
is
is
for
not
getting
what I
your
described.
heel in it.
Oh.
Ben, you would get along with our friend group very well. Okay, Ben goes on to say, what are your thoughts on naming pets and or children after Harry Potter characters in light of what kind of a person the author has revealed herself to be? Can it just be a reference to a good or personality important literary character, or can you not separate it from the author?
I mean, I'm gonna say that culturally we're gonna have to, considering Luna has been the #1 girl's name for like 2 years running. Mm-hmm. You know? We know why. It's because this generation that's having babies right now grew up with Harry Potter as a very important cultural reference. Not Harry Potter exclusive, but a lot of the names aren't. You know what I mean? Like,
naming a kid Sirius after like the Harry Potter character would be kind of specific, but I think that there's like a distinction to be made between naming a kid after a character and getting the idea for the name from somewhere, and it happens to be Harry Potter. Like, oh, I never considered Ronald.
Yes, Haley. And I also think that there are the names that are like obviously Harry Potter names and the ones that are normal. Like, I'm editing a book right now that's about witches. It's the sequel to Cursed Coven by Cara Badalamenti. Definitely check it out. It's a really cool book series. But the dog's name is Luna, and like, it's a book about witches. The dog's name is Luna. That makes perfect sense. But if my kid's name was Remus or like Scorpius or like Severus, one of these like Latinate names that you just like straight up do not see out in the world and are like in America, like
your
that's
kid's
different.
name is Scorpius. I'm assuming you're a fucking no. You are a Carthaginian Punic War fan. Like that is the real answer there. Africanus is his middle name, but as far as like naming them, you're naming them after the character. You're not naming them after the influences of the author. Now, if you name your kid Joanne, then you might have some questions. I might have some questions for you. But like, if you're naming it after something that brought happiness to your childhood, because like rereading these things, we can see all these issues, right? We can see all these problems. It doesn't mean that we were anything wrong or less for not seeing them the first time we read it uncritically just for fun. And it had that impact at that point. You didn't name your child Luna because of going out and, weighing the pros and cons of J.K. Rowling as an... No, you named them that because of what you thought of as Luna when you were growing up and you first read the material. So, like, I think that, like, it is absolutely fine. Now, I'm not one to do it, but, like, if you want to, do it. Sure.
I like that. Okay.
I think that's like the right note. I will say that I just, like, genuinely feel that you can technically, legally, name your kids whatever you want.
Whatever
And
you want.
I would say that naming your kid Hermione is going to be better than like actual kids' names like Violence and Bus Stop Number 13. So, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Go for it. You know?
People know how to pronounce Hermione these days, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the time to be a Hermione.
'Tis the season.
Mary Clay, try to find a name for a kid that hasn't been taken by a fictional character at least 1 point.
Or some problematic individual.
I feel like Mary Clay is saying, like, being like, Peter in Chronicles of Narnia. I really like that guy. I've been watching Chronicles of Narnia lately. I'm going to name my kid Peter because of Peter from Chronicles of Narnia. I feel like Mary Clay's talking in the chat is talking more about the intention.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm named after Brooke because Brooke Shields was on the cover of Swimsuit Illustrated the year I was born. Like,
did you name your family dog?
yeah, of course I did. Yeah, my family's dog name is Bella.
Yeah, that's a Twilight thing.
Uh-huh.
She's a good girl. She's still cooking? I met her a long time ago. She was old.
No, she
Okay.
She died a while ago.
Okay. All right. Well, la.
But I think the thing is like, you get the benefit of the doubt picking a Peter with, like, never having to reveal why Peter.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And to kind of points out, Peter, sure, but Tumnus.
is for a pet.
If you name
So, yeah.
a guy Peter after Peter for Chronicles of Narnia, but you never tell anyone why, then that's just you.
Yeah.
That's just you.
I would totally name a goat Tumnus. That's adorable.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess my perspective being that I did name my daughter after a Norse goddess because I was reading a book of Norse mythology while I was pregnant with
It's
her.
a strong name, though. Okay, Mary Clay in the chat says it's not hard to come up with a name that won't appear in fiction. And she
Bullshit.
does the eye emoji. Is that because her name's Mary Clay and it's like nobody's ever named Mary Clay? Is that why
Yes,
we're doing?
no,
Oh, she said yes. She said yes.
Oh, that's your whole family's logic.
I'm gonna name my kid Mary Brooke.
Well, and like, just because the name brings happiness to you and is a great character in one book doesn't mean that they're going to be a great character in another book. Because if you name him Peter, people might think of Ender's Game, and that Peter's pretty fucked up. So like, it just every name has good people and bad people that have shared that name.
Hey. Wait.
I know. I'm reading
Mary
it.
Clay says she did live with someone named Mary Brooke.
Okay, two-parent names don't fucking count. You can combine any two names and make a new name. That's not difficult.
Everyone in this chat who's an author, write a character named Mary Clay just to post hoc make Mary Clay wrong. Do that for me. That's my last wish and my last request from this chat.
Do you think you will ever reread any or all of the books?
No.
Yes.
And for Brooke, when and how, if at all, do you think you would introduce Harry Potter to your child?
Okay.
Would it be unprompted, or would you hold off unless they specifically ask about it? That's how Ben wrote it. Gretchen also asked the same question. Gretchen also added, will you focus on fan fiction only?
Yeah. So I have thought a lot about this. So the first things first is like, you just don't get to pick what your kid's into. Like, at some point when I feel like she's at a reading level that she could read it on her own, I will probably say, hey, I really liked this book when I was a kid. Do you want to read it? If she's interested of her own accord, kind of go for it. The only thing I think I might do is like stagger the books a little intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah,
we were talking about this of like,
was that us? Were we talking about it during the Deathly Hallows Part 2 watch along?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like, I think a good approach is at 11, one a year until such a time as your child reaches the age of like 13, at which point they can speed run the end.
Yeah, they don't need to wait like we waited.
No, because like 17 feels too late to be reading the 7th book almost if you didn't like have to wait for it. So I think, once you hit that kind of preaching
You think
maturity.
it's the perfect time to read it?
What I will say is, like, it's still very popular with young people. Like, you'll see, like, taking my daughter trick-or-treating this year, like, we saw Hogwarts students, like, kids dressed up as Harry Potter characters. I think the association has stilted a little bit more towards the movies and away from the books. So I'll be interested to see if the HBO series changes any of that.
Oh yeah, that recently got pushed back like a year. And they recently cast somebody very hot as Severus Snape.
Well, it's also one of
We
those
knew
things
that was going to happen.
where it's like, love it or hate it, or, kind of regardless of like what, your feelings of it might be. There's also a lot of stuff that like I don't love, but I would let my kid read, like the Bible, if they were really into that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think if I'm going to give her the option, and if she wants to read it, I will engage with it with her in a way that kind of like gently points out things that might need further discussion.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it's like a good literacy tool. It's one of the things that you can firmly say for this series.
Isn't your freaking husband Mike the one who was like, I didn't read until Harry Potter?
Yeah. He basically like learned to read Harry Potter. So
I always forget that.
I would rather my kid read Harry Potter and then read after that than never read at all, for sure.
Yeah, that was kind of why it got so popular, like, when we were growing up, was because, like, children's literacy was in a huge, like, sinkhole, and Harry Potter was the one thing that kids were like, ooh, books.
Yes.
Well, yeah. And I would greatly push everyone to remember that, like, yeah, I'm absolutely going to read it in the future. And am I going to like recognize that there are issues with it? Of course. But like, I'll eat chili cheese tater tots every once in a while.
That's a great analogy, Andrew.
It is terrible for me. It doesn't make me feel good.
But it's just like fun while you're doing it.
While you're doing it, it's great.
Yeah.
And you know, the other side of that coin when it comes to kids is like, this is a perfect thing to symbolize how things can seem innocent. And if you really read into them, you can see that there's some not great stuff in there.
Yeah.
And like, it can be a tool to open up conversations. But I think that blanket, like, I'm not going to read this because I don't support that author. Like, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I think that you're missing an opportunity with a piece of literature that has struck 10 million billion fucking hearts. Like, this.
I think 10 million billion fucking is exactly the number of copies she sold.
Something like that. And in like 70 bajillion languages. And, you know, I think that it's a very modern take that we throw the baby out with the bathwater with anything when people turn out to be shitty people. And most people are shitty people. And you're just you're going to run out of stuff eventually because everyone has something eventually that's going to be not great about them.
Yeah, you just have to live with the fact that you're not going to agree with your heroes on everything or most things.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of fun and enjoyment that can still be gotten out of this, and you can recognize that it has some issues.
Well, and as an adult with like an English degree, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that you can use to kind of introduce kids to analytical lenses. Because there are a variety of ways to interpret written works, right? This is the least fun way this conversation could have gone. But
it's real.
We're a literary analysis and comedy podcast.
and actually, I was introduced to critical theory when I was like a fucking senior in college. I wish I had been introduced to it so much sooner.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's a variety of critical literary lenses that you can use, and things like separating art from author, but then also looking at the series with the author's context, with historical context, there's so many ways to interpret a book. And if they're really excited about a book that has as much meat to it as Harry Potter does, because a lot of kids' books just don't have meat.
Anything,
There's not anything like in it. And so like I feel like if anything it's a great way to introduce the idea of like literary critical analysis, because it's what introduced me to literary critical analysis. Not necessarily anything like super crazy, but thinking, when I would read, apparently there's, this is based on certain historical events, or even just things like, as a young kid growing up, like, this word is different or this concept is different, and being like, well, it's from the UK. How might that change the way that the story progresses? Like, it's really probably the first book I ever put any critical thought to, because it was kind of one of the first things I was reading that, like, warranted it.
Yeah. I remember I used to be obsessed with these books by a guy named Matt Christopher. I just Googled it to make sure I got the name right. Matt Christopher. He wrote like 70 books about like, there's a kid playing sports. He's real nervous about these sports, but he tries hard and he does well. That's the book. And like, it's the shittiest fucking literature, but like, that's all that interests me. And
Yeah.
then, like, I will say that Harry Potter was what got me into thinking in books in a bigger way and led to me reading things like Hatchet and other, like, story books.
Hatchet. I was about to say my brother Michael, until he was like a grown-ass adult, he'd only read 2 books. Hatchet and The Kid Who Only Hid Homers. If you're a boy in the 90s, those are the books you read.
That's it.
I know both those books. And, like, I don't know. I think that there has to be an entry point, right? And why not use this thing that has been so beloved to so many people and open up those conversations?
Yeah. I personally will definitely read this book series again. Realistically, probably not for like a decade.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
About a decade.
Yeah, like probably with my kids someday. Or like maybe if I am having like the most depressing year of my life or something and I just like really need something cozy, I will read it again. I will read it as fast as I can.
There we go. Yep.
As God intended.
Yeah.
And that means that you're reading it so fast that when something horrifying happens, you're like, yee, but then you're already on to the next page.
Gone, on to the next one. Foo Fighters said it best. Like, just, yeah.
Exactly. So Ben finishes with, I'll stop myself there as this email has already gone on too long. Congrats on very nearly finishing the podcast. I've enjoyed being along for the ride. Thanks for all the laughs, cries, and serious thoughts along the way. Thanks, Ben.
Thank
Ben,
you.
you're
so much,
fucking
Ben.
great. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate you.
Our final email comes from Amy. Amy says, hello, I'm a big fan of your podcast and came across it through my cousin Zach, who does Belated Binge. Shout out to Zach. He's been a really awesome recurring guest over the years.
Aww.
And Amy, thank you so much for the email. I've grown to really enjoy all your episodes, the thorough discussions on Harry Potter, and all the fun you have with your friends. And I have a few questions for the final episode. 1. Phil asks something like this too in the Discord server. Do you think you would ever do another podcast? Amy says based on a series, TV or book, and if so, which one? Obviously, they're asking me because you guys refused to learn to edit. I tried to teach you in 2020 and it didn't stick at all. Nobody helped me. That's fine.
You just didn't tell me what time the lesson was, and I was taking a nap when you said, "Where are you?"
There's no way I didn't.
There's no way
tell you.
that's right.
You simply did
That
not.
is just simply incorrect.
No, it was you had asked for volunteers, and everybody who was going to volunteer had already volunteered, and then you texted me separately and said, hey, do you mind joining on the training episode? And I was like, yeah, sure, just let me know when. And then a few days later, I got a text from you after waking up from a nap that said, hey, where are you?
Haley, you're a wonderful writer, and we can see that because you were completely rewriting history to make it better for your
No,
story.
I have distinct memories of all of this.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Here's the thing.
I'm cool. I'm eating a cookie.
There's nothing else I like enough to even
Here's the thing.
consider.
No, Brooke, wrong. Brooke, wrong.
What?
Don't like the thing you podcast about.
I have something.
That's what happened to us.
I know, but for like content, I feel like you at least have to like it enough to like engage with it. Hence, Mary Clay being like, "I'm noping all the way out of this Star Wars podcast." No, sorry to call you out, Mary Clay,
Yeah.
but it's like sometimes
No,
you hate something
right
so much that
decision.
you're just like, "No, thank you. I do not want to
right
think about this
decision.
at all."
I think personally there are 2 subjects which I could see myself doing another podcast on, and like doing a full podcast on in every episode, and that would be The West Wing, and the second one would be an idea I had for like interviewing like K-pop fucking related
K-pop.
reactors and
My
shit.
guesses
Like,
were West Wing and
Yeah,
K-pop.
that makes
that-
sense. Yeah.
that would be the 2 possible things. So for this question, West Wing would be the answer.
Do the youth still yearn for West Wing content?
They do not. They do not. And
Some things you
they
just
did-
do for you.
There's already been multiple full like involving people from the show podcasts. So like, no.
So I have been saying no more content about other content. I've been saying like no more fandom podcasts. Deus Ex Media has several of these, and like I think several is plenty. That being said, I have been rereading Twilight recently. And that's the only thing I would consider doing a podcast about is Twilight. Amy goes on to ask, have you ever considered doing a Bob's Burgers podcast? No, Amy, because I love Bob's Burgers purely and I want it to remain pure. However, Twilight, it insists upon itself, to use a joke that our friend group's been throwing around. Like,
just make-
Twilight
We could just make Team Mike and publish it, and it
Yeah,
would be
Andrew
great.
really surprise, Andrew's Team Mike and Twilight. And once you listen to my new podcast, Twilight Before You Run, you'll understand.
Here's the thing. I said there's nothing I liked enough, but honest to God, I do love Twilight.
Twilight is just, here's the thing. Twilight is fun and bad.
Yeah.
Like, we're going into it knowing it is fun and bad. And I think that is the mix you want for a podcast. So I'm not going to start that today. However, if I were going to start another fandom podcast, it would be about Twilight. That's the answer. Amy, are you going to make the switch?
If you put a gun to my head and said you have to do a fandom podcast, I would say I want to revisit Animorphs and get all the way through the series, because boy howdy are there a lot of fucking books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm texting my roommate. These cookies are so good.
Honestly, I would also do like a movie podcast. I really like.
Oh, within
Movie Night
Twilight.
Crew?
Within Twilight, my bad.
Yeah, I honestly
Don't do that.
I mean
Don't
this
do that.
seriously. I mean this seriously. I think Movie Night Crew is the funniest thing we ever put out, and it sucks that we could not figure out how to make that podcast work at all.
I kind of agree.
What we needed to do with that was to make an angle where each one of us like rotated who was the host, and they got to choose the movie, and everyone had to watch it no matter what. And
That
would
was
have
not
been
the primary issue. The primary issue was how to make the audio work.
I was going to say, like, that would work if that person also had to edit it.
But
Yeah.
even then, like, we were running into the issue where to make the audio good, you basically had to like send people home and talk about it later.
Which is, like, fine.
Yeah.
That you can do that if that's all you do.
It did.
That's fun.
It resulted in like decidedly less entertaining episodes, though.
Yeah, the chaos was
the,
what was fun.
The joy of Movie Night Crew was that it sucked, guys. And when I handed it to Jason, it stopped sucking.
I'm just
so.
saying, they're like, listening back to those after having recorded them was the only time I've ever actually laughed out loud at anything that like I've been present for the recording of.
Wow. Wow.
So who discovered the restricted section from Movie Night Crew? Go ahead and say it in the chat.
Amy goes on to also ask if we'll ever read Harry Potter again. I think that many people have asked us that. And then Amy finishes up by saying, not really a question, but I think you should reach out to Sounds Like a Cult podcast and see if you could collab on an episode about Harry Potter. I'd be perfect for it. Haha. Thanks again for all the memories, Amy. Amy, thank you so much for the email.
Oh, thank you,
I
Amy.
love Sounds Like a Cult. I don't know if you're just like a random listener and I'm also a random listener, or if you've heard me talk about it before, but I love Sounds Like a Cult, and Harry Potter is a cult, although I will not be touching Harry Potter with a 10-foot pole. If you listen to Burn Before Reading, you may have noticed that I don't fucking mention Harry Potter over there. I don't. I've actually had to cut out several references to the restricted section over
Which,
there.
if you're not listening to Burn Before Reading, fix that, because that is a fantastic podcast.
Fix that.
Really so good.
It's
Yeah.
really good. That's gonna be our final commercial at the end of this.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is unrelated to most of the things we were just talking about, but I just remembered that I ordered months ago from a small creator, so it took a long time to get here. Matching mother-daughter Twilight pajamas for me and my daughter.
Shut up.
They
Shut
came
up.
today.
I had better see pictures soon, because that's amazing.
Mary Clay in the chat just said Brooke. Okay, that's awesome. I love that.
Amazing.
Okay, so let's move on to some questions. Here's one question. What is a time when you laughed really hard on this podcast? I wrote that question.
There was a time we were actively recording, and I have like a wall screen that I usually put up because my office doesn't have a door, just to, like keep.
Like a room divider.
Yeah.
Mary Clay's
And-
side note.
Oh, wait, hold on. Haley, shut up. It's not your turn. Are you going to say the time that Maple, like, tackled it onto you while you were pregnant?
Yes.
Brooke, that was very funny.
I was recording, very pregnant, had my little screen up. My dog like full on like barged into it, and like it fell on top of me as I was just screaming, and then started screaming for my husband, just back out, and he like ran in.
That was you, me, and Andrew, because you were like, "Oh God," and Andrew and I were like, "Hey, we're pretty calm right now. What's happening to you, Brooke?"
Oh, you're
Well, and then
like
my husband was like
that
freaking
thing.
out because I was deeply pregnant when this happened, so all he starts hearing is like screaming from the office. And he runs in, and it's just me getting like licked casually by my dog with like a screen collapsed on top of me.
Tina and I are just sitting there like, Brooke, you're at like an 7 or an 8, and if we could just take that down to like a 5, that would really be great for what we're going for right now.
Yeah.
So, Haley, what was your answer?
I was just saying, laughing as Mary Clay in the chat goes, side nart.
Side nart.
That was
side nart.
that was not my hardest laugh, though. My hardest laugh...
No, that was me and Mary Clay's hardest laugh.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think my hardest laugh was... I want to say the end of episode like 2 or 3 when we were still recording together, like around your kitchen table.
Oh my god, and it was all downhill from there.
And like you were about to sign off. It was just when you were like leaning into get out of my house.
It was Keeper of the Keys because Andrew made Dark and Stormy.
Yeah, that. So I was trying to hold in a cough so that you could say the thing, but like you were looking at me all concerned because it looked like I was dying, and you were like, "Hey, Haley, what's going on?" I'm like, just say it, Christina!
I was like waiting for you to stop so that I could just
I was trying to
say
not
my clean
make
take.
a noise.
You were failing.
I thought you were gonna bring up the wine pour right onto the tablecloth.
I think that was the same
embarrassing.
day.
It was the same day. Yeah, Andrew blacked me out. He's doing a thumbs
I
up.
have a very limited set of skills, but the ones that I do have are very thorough. And being able to get Tina to get blackout drunk is a skill that I hold in my back pocket at all times.
I was listening to the first 4 minutes of our first 10 episodes to count which one had the most people on it, and as soon as we got to Andrew, what did you make for us today? And you're like, well, I made Black and Stormy. So I was like, nope. Next episode. Nope, I'm done. Get me out of here.
That?
Andrew, when did you laugh really hard?
Okay, so like actually laugh hardest, probably I was fortunate enough to be on some of the episodes with Adel, and he is genuinely fucking hysterical.
He is a professional comedian,
but
and it shows.
It does show. And also there were several times with different, and I can't remember who specifically, but multiple listeners that we would have on who would just make these amazing fucking jokes out of nowhere. And like multiple times I would laugh my ass off. Just like
totally
fucking fantastic jokes.
Yeah, our like patrons that we brought on the show have been like some of our best guests for sure.
Can I ask, just to know for fact, is there going to be a question about favorite episode coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, then never mind. I will save either answer for later.
Okay. I'm thinking about when I laughed really hard, and I know there's been 240 episodes, so I've laughed really hard a lot of times, and they've been random, but I'm thinking about when Andrew sang the entirety of the Sorting song in season 1 as well, and me and Haley were just like quietly dying in the background. That was really good.
Never dare him to do anything. He will commit so hard.
He will. Okay, so Tekenna asks, how long do you think the pod would have lasted without COVID? How long do you think it would have taken you to realize everyone recording around one table was not a great idea? The real answer to this is that I feel too beholden to my friends, and I think I maybe never would have changed it.
Yeah.
And it would have gone down like Movie Night Crew, unlistenable, and yet
there would have never been a
way.
Movie Night Crew. We wouldn't have gotten past season 2. There would have
I don't think we would have made it a year doing that.
No.
Like the video technology existed. Oh, hi, Penny.
Penny's
the
here.
technology was there. We could have done video calls. It's just that before COVID, we kind of forgot they were a thing.
Well, also, like, in terms of where we all were in our lives, like, we all had less serious jobs and more free time and no commitments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. It's
like,
true.
we all used to
Nobody
hang
had
out, like,
kids.
3 times a week standard because we just had nothing going on in our
Yeah, and
early
like
to
at
mid-20s.
nighttime.
Yeah.
Now at nighttime, Brooke's like, I have a baby, and I'm like, I have to sleep.
And, like, we all have jobs that we, like, have to wake up for, and it's important that we be, like, sober and
It
awake
is important. Yeah, totally.
for. You know? Like,
Although today's Christmas, no jobs on
yeah,
Christmas.
sure, whatever.
Hey.
My ass is literally going to be
Oh
working
no,
on Christmas,
Andrew!
so
And you're not even playing the movie I want to see on Christmas.
I know.
Wait, what movie do you want to see on Christmas?
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Brooke wants
Okay,
to see it on
anyway, so
Christmas
the answer to Kenna is that COVID saved our podcast.
Yeah.
Josh asks, has hosting a podcast affected the way you talk about things at other times when you're not recording? Has friendship evolved in an unexpected way from the podcast?
Can I jump in here?
Please.
I will say, I don't want to speak for my two friends that are also on this call. Well, two of my other friends on this call, but when we all sat around on that blanket before, like, the fucking by the big circular house at Bird Park, I did not.
Andrew's only ever been able to come to one of our picnics ever.
Well, Andrew's pulling the deep lore of the, like, decided, like, planning meeting that we had outside because it was COVID. And you
Wait, we did?
And you,
Yes.
you told all of us that we either needed to, like,
before
commit or
COVID.
cease being hosts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't remember this at all. I said commit or cease.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's
you were
when
like, if
actually
you're going to
you
keep
gave
doing
March-
this, you need to buy a mic. We need to get serious about our setup. Like, I have no
Oh.
interest
And
in having this be
For the
shitty.
record, the podcast has reimbursed as many mics as I have received receipts for.
100%. 100%.
Very specific answer because of me.
No question. But this is, for all of y'all, this is the peek behind the scenes. Christina sat us all down and was
I
like,
don't
how badly
remember
do you
this at
want to
all,
be
but it
friends
makes
with me?
sense.
Yeah, we had a nice little picnic. We all brought different foods, and this
And
is
did not
also
touch each
6 feet
other.
apart.
Yeah, we sat on
yes,
very separate
and
blankets.
This is also when you first expressed that, like, hey, editing's a lot, and so could I get multiple people? And we were all like, yeah. We
And
got
were
this.
terrible
Never
friends. I'm
fucking
so
happened.
Sorry.
I was talking to my therapist about that very issue today, but that's fine.
What about podcast editing?
No, just about just about the expectations I place on my friends all the time.
Anyway, Chihu, I genuinely didn't think we would end up finishing.
That's so crazy because I never ever dreamt that we wouldn't finish. That's so crazy. Like, I have doggedly, against all odds, against the advice of professionals, against my own mental health, I have finished this. It was never a question for me. And tragically, it was never a question for me.
I did always kind of figure that you were gonna do it. You're a completionist
this.
to your fucking core.
All that being said, I'm incredibly proud of you for finishing because you did push through a bunch of craziness and bullshit and self-doubt, but I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but I did not expect it to go like this. And definitely not to get big.
Mary Clay also says she thought something would happen and we wouldn't finish
I kind of knew you would get all the way through it. I didn't know that we were still going to be doing it with you.
Yeah.
Bitch! We opened at the close. I started the way I ended with Andrew, Haley, Brooke, and Mary Clay in the chat talking shit about Harry Potter.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Harry
And
Potter.
honestly, what I will say is that, like, especially during COVID, and even afterwards, as I said, our lives just became more complicated as we grew up. I do think it gave us, like, a central rallying point for a long time to, like, stay in touch with each other, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes, I've actually talked. I don't know to whom I've talked about this before, but like I kind of have my like two friend groups. I have a lot of friends, but I have like my two friend groups. The ones I call the Ho Train, those are my college friends, and the ones that I call my book friends, and that's you guys. Okay, because I met most of you through book publishing. Andrew, I don't know, you're just on that list too.
I don't qualify for Ho Train, so I'm.
I know, but you and I
Delegated
fucked in
to-
college when we were friends with these friends, so it's weird that
I
you're not in the Ho
qualify in
Train.
a lot of ways, but just the name does not fit.
Andrew,
and so
he's not on
if
the
you're
Ho
ready
Train.
for your Ho Train era, you just let us know, buddy.
Every
Okay.
train needs a caboose, Andrew.
I need a little more silver in this beard. When I get a little more silver in this beard, I'll go full Ho Train.
I have like lamented before, like that my priorities are such that, and my obligations are such that my hoe train, my college group of like my gal pals, like sometimes I wouldn't see them for weeks, and I have these like built-in obligations with y'all where I just like would see you regularly, movie night and this. And so like that's not like anti this, it's just like, yeah, we did, it was like it has been a part of our continuing friendship.
It's been a structural support.
Yeah.
Structural support,
and, like,
exactly. And we're ready. I think we're finally ready to take that beam away.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason
Mary
for
Clay
that...
in the chat said this, so I guess this is goodbye.
We have no further use for you. There's 1,000 Marys in this world.
At this point, I'm pretty sure it's just us and fucking Mary Clay and Tekenna left on this call.
No, there's fucking the same amount of... There's one person has left since we started this.
Okay, I do want to say this. If you are watching from the outside, you've not met us, your only understanding of our friendship
Charlie.
is via this podcast. What I can say is that this podcast is a shockingly accurate representation of our friend group.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Which
Very much so.
is much larger than this podcast. Like, Brooke and I took like a 2-mile walk yesterday because she was in the area getting ice cream with her dog. Like, Haley and Andrew and I were at some parties over the weekend. Like, this is a accurate representation, but it is merely a tiny little fraction of our beautiful friendships.
yeah, Mary Clay, I did get scoop without you. I'm sorry.
Well, and Brooke and I got coffee recently, and part of it was spent discussing movies and going
Oh, that's
deep
so
into
movie night
depth.
crew of you
Yeah.
guys.
Well, there's some really good stuff out right now.
There's some great shit out right now.
Andrew works at a movie theater now, so he's like very movie oriented.
I'll also say, just like, in terms of how the podcast has like influenced our friendships, like being in a recording together has forced us to get better at listening and better at communicating than we were before.
So true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is something
Absolutely.
that everybody in the world could stand to be better at, but like now we're very deliberate about it.
Yes, Mary Clay's joking in the chat about how she's learning that how often we all hang out without her. But however, Mary Clay and I were just talking about this in the car the other day. So take that, Mary Clay.
What? I wasn't there?
Well,
How dare you?
And Mary Clay, I'm going to go ahead and preemptively invite you to the vacation that Brooke and I were planning for like 5 years from now.
Okay, stop. We're done. No, we're done. Brooke,
No,
Brooke, you
no,
can't give
no,
Brooke a
don't
vacation.
activate
Okay,
her.
if you give a Brooke a vacation, that's the name of the book.
I'm still upset, Mary Clay.
Gretchen asks, if you were able to have a conversation with, and this is Gretchen's phrasing, the devil, parentheses, Joanne, are there any specific talking points or questions you would like to ask, or would it be more of a general, why are you such a piece of human garbage that betrayed the HP community? Basically, if you had J.K. Rowling in front of you, what would you say to her?
I don't know that I would say anything.
I don't know that I would say anything.
I would just kind of be like, decline. Like, decline.
Decline.
I would decline the invite.
I would ask if my beard is visible right now, and then just let her walk into that trap.
I got to go a different direction.
Andrew.
I think I would love to talk to her because I would love to give her a platform to talk without any influence or nudging or support to her answers, and ask her questions like, where did you think this would go when you started it? And did you ever imagine that you would have this much of an influence on people? And just let her show her ignorance, because I am sure that she would answer in a way that completely contradicts what she said 10 years ago about this series. I am absolutely sure that she would try and claim that from the beginning she was trying to captivate and to reach all these people, when she said years ago that all she was trying to do was write this story that she saw in her head when she was sitting on a train. And I would just love to give her the opportunity to show how shitty she is. And just
Interesting.
give her the floor to exude
Show her
shittiness. Yeah, to
Yeah.
show her ass, basically.
Okay.
I would love to ask her about specific events in the story and say, did you plan for this? And how did you know this would work out?
Yeah.
know, and-
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that advice from like therapists and other people that if you're in conflict with someone, just start asking questions and lead them to their own to their own inevitable conclusions. You know? Yeah, I like that. Okay, so our final installment of our final episode is the results of our listener survey. Our final listener survey ever.
So how many more people like Haley than the rest of us?
We'll get there. We'll get to it. Okay, so the first question I asked is, and I want to hear y'all's answers as well. So I'll let y'all answer and then I'll read the statistics. What is your favorite Harry Potter book? And I would like to ask you guys, has it changed after this podcast or?
No, it's still 3.
It's still
3?
4 for me.
4?
It goes back and forth between 3 and 6.
3 and 6. Okay. In our survey, we have 4.5% with Chamber of Secrets, and I'm rounding these percentage points, so do not come at me about this math. We have 9% answered Order of the Phoenix, 13.6% each to Deathly Hallows and Goblet of Fire, 22.7% answered Half-Blood Prince, and 36.4% answered Prisoner of Azkaban.
Honestly, I, on the reread, liked Deathly Hallows more than I did the first time. I think
I kind of agree.
I had too much tied up in it the first time I read it, and on the reread, I quite enjoyed that book.
I kind of agree. I think both Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows I liked more on the reread. And maybe Order of the Phoenix it's just such a relief after that. But both of them, I had these remembrances of them that were not entirely accurate.
Yeah. I will say that Order of the Phoenix remains my fucking least favorite by a mile.
Yeah, I didn't ask that, but I should have.
Can I just say that...
Wait, but the answer is Chamber of Secrets because I was the least percent. Okay, anyway, yes.
I was going to say, the 7th book, especially Deathly Hallows, it ends incredibly well. Like, the very last chapter is bullshit, the epilogue is bullshit, but, like, the last few chapters are some of the best writing that she's ever made. So, like... it absolutely tracks that would be certain people's favorite book because it is a much more refined, for lack of a better word, and focused like JK, essentially.
She's relieved to be finishing.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Truly. Sean in the chat says, if it's not too late to cast a vote, I also vote Haley. That's my husband. My dad, do you guys remember like 4 years ago when my dad was like, who's that funny girl on your podcast? And I was like, me? And he was like, no.
Hi, Tina's dad.
And apparently we have 2 votes for Freya.
Yeah. She was on an episode.
She was official host.
She just was. We have a review on Apple Podcast that says like more baby noises. Okay, next question is, what is your favorite Harry Potter film? So we have 4.5% on that one, Order of the Phoenix, Deathly Hallows Part 2, and someone wrote in, Puffs, someone, LOL, it was obviously Mott's. Sorry, Mott's, you're not subtle. It was an anonymous survey, but like, that was just Mott's. 9% each said Goblet of Fire, Sorcerer's Stone, and Chamber of Secrets. 13.6% said Half-Blood Prince, and 45.5% said Prisoner of Azkaban, which is so funny because, Haley, I specifically remember discussing with you how much essential lore is dropped from that film.
It bothers me.
It bothers me.
I don't know. Sorcerer's Stone is my all-time favorite movie. There's like...
it's so good. It's so fucking good.
I just remembered that I meant to have it playing in the background during this whole thing.
Well, it would have been over by now, so...
And Takena says the werewolf is so janky, but Mary Clay says the vibes of Prisoner of Azkaban are immaculate, and I think the vibes are immaculate. I think that's what sells
I think it's
it.
got Halloween vibes, and Sorcerer's Stone has Christmas vibes.
Can I just say, Sorcerer's Stone was so fucking good that now every single TV...
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Andrew has frozen.
He got too spicy.
I made him test his internet speed before this.
You know what's something that's crazy is like the idea of saying that something had a something vibe, like hadn't quite entered into the slang lexicon when we started this podcast.
Don't make me think about how old I am.
Dude, where's Andrew?
I'm back.
Oh, hey.
There you are. There you are.
What were you saying?
I was saying that the first Harry Potter movie was so fucking good that like best Christmas movies and Christmas movie marathon lists to this day always include multiple Harry Potters based purely on the first Harry Potter movie.
Sorcerer's Stone, yeah. And I maybe like the day after we did our Deathly Hallows Part 2 watch along, I put on Sorcerer's Stone, and I was like, I want this. And then my roommate watched all of the rest of them, and I was like, no,
Just Becca, just this one.
Okay, who is your favorite Harry Potter character? Period.
Luna Lovegood.
We have 6 votes for Luna Lovegood, and she actually wins the poll.
Yep.
Anyone else want to cast a vote for Luna?
I'm
Yo.
a big Sirius fan still.
Sirius Black got 3 votes.
I forgot how cool Ginny is until I reread the
book.
books.
Ginny specifically
Ginny is
got 2
dope.
votes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cast my vote for Ginny. Somebody said Umbridge. Somebody said don't make me choose because they're all bad. We have Draco, Hermione, Lavender Brown parentheses Justice for Lavender. Somebody else wrote that, not me. 2 people said McGonagall. 2 people said Neville. 1 person said Percy. Hey, Vinny, how's it going? Colin Creevy, Ron, Snape, and Fleur all got shout outs. All great characters. And notice Dumbledore is not on this list.
No.
But I think all of these are very interesting characters.
Yeah.
Tekenna said I forgot who was in the books and panicked. And Mary Clay says Dumbledore's not on this list because I left mine blank, I assume. Ashley says I literally couldn't think of anyone, and Sean just said Luna. Okay, this is very funny. Okay. Next question. What is your favorite chapter, plotline, or moment in all of Harry Potter?
Well, I mean, it's got to be the house elves, right?
It does not. It does not.
It does not.
Because I was just on my favorite chapter of all of Harry Potter, which is Into the Forest again.
My favorite chapter, my favorite chapter.
For me, honestly, it might be the one where the kids sneak into the Ministry. Like, I know everybody hates Order of the Phoenix, but, like, breaking into the government is dope.
Yeah.
Can I throw out another chapter, even though it's my second favorite, but I think it has great potential for a lot of people?
Yeah.
The chapter...
And I also, for the record, said chapter, plotline, or moment.
When they're trying to sneak Norbert up to get rescued by Charlie...
Okay, throwing it way back.
A way back when, I think that's a fantastic chapter as well, because this whole story arc of trying to get the dragon up, it's fantastic.
Okay.
I really enjoy the entire plotline around Dumbledore's army in a book that is otherwise garbage. That entire plotline works for me. Like, the idea of kids just kind of forming a secret club to, like, hang out and be kids, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
And, I don't know.
And then ultimately when, like, they use the coin and the only people that show up are the misfits, that's kind of great. And
I do love that.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows. I'm going to remind you, though, my favorite chapter is Valentine's Day in Order of the Phoenix at Madame Pettifoot's. It's just good. It's just a good chapter.
Like Order of the Phoenix has many faults, but it's got some winners.
Yeah, and it's got our first Snog, too.
Yeah, I think I just hate Order of the Phoenix for all of the teenageriness that it reminds me of, you know what I mean?
That's fair. I wouldn't. You actually could not pay me enough money to be 15 again.
No.
There's not enough money in the world, and there never actually will be.
Yeah, if someone was like, I'm going to transport you back to when you were 15, or you die, I'd be like, die.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for giving me the option.
High school was great for some of us. 15 was a wonderful age.
Oh, no.
Listener answers, favorite chapter, plotline, or moment in all of Harry Potter. Quote, there's no need to call me Sir Professor. Immaculate.
Yep.
Harry and Ron's inability to ask a girl to the Yule Ball.
Fantastic.
Sad to watch.
Sean says the moment in the book when Harry casts the Patronus successfully, I think at the end of Order of the Phoenix, very satisfying.
Yeah.
The World Cup.
No, it was end up Prisoner of Azkaban. Sorry.
What? No, it's a different item.
No, the Patronus.
Yeah, what did I say? Oh, did I say at the end of Goblet of Fire?
You said at the end of Order of the Phoenix.
Which would be quite
Yeah,
late.
whatever, man. At the end of a book, dude. It was at the end of a book. The World Cup.
Specifically when Harry's then explaining in the movie about like, well, I knew that I could cast it because I'd already cast it.
thank
Because
you. No.
that was funny. That
Okay.
was funny.
Someone says, I would say it's the Quidditch match in the second movie. Pure schlock, but pure fun.
Yeah.
Sir, are you German? What is schlock? Loved Neville killing Nagini.
Yeah.
Fred and George literally flying off into the sunset. Quote, give her hell for us PUs. So good.
Yeah.
Josh says Hagrid's tale from Order of the Phoenix, where he talks about his adventures with Grop. Total riveter. Sean then also goes on in the chat to say, alas, earwax. Okay, Sean, shush.
Wait,
shush,
Mary
shush,
Clay,
got
you
two
had
answers.
a last earwax on your graduation cap?
No way.
Oh no, when Fred and George leave. Okay.
Give her hell. Wait, alas, earwax is so funny.
The last earwax would have been a deep cut.
If I win the lottery,
Okay.
I'm going back to college simply so I can have a slate that says "Alas, earwax."
Alas, earwax. I did enjoy the plot line learning about Tom Riddle's family. It had the makings for a good mystery/horror story, especially the bits at the start of Goblet of Fire when we hear about the bits and pieces. Sam? Sam, is that you saying bits and pieces of the Muggle Riddle family being murdered? First time in Diagon Alley. Peeves saluting the twins. Molly giving Harry her brother's watch. That is a really good moment. The White Tomb where Harry and Ginny break up. I'll agree with you. That's like a pretty solid breakup. Crookshanks helping Sirius based on vibes. Love that. McGonagall's have a biscuit Potter moment. So good. Luna and Neville's badassery in the last book while staying true to who they are. Probably any of the times it goes, quote, and then Harry did something stupid, unquote.
And then Harry did something incredibly brave and incredibly stupid.
Mary Clay in the chat says, I love the specific moment in Prisoner of Azkaban right before Lupin turns and Sirius invites Harry to live with him, and Harry is happy for 5 seconds. I want you guys to guess who wrote this next answer. Just take a guess. Oh, God. I would like to be able to say I'm finding this difficult because I love so many of them. But truth is, I'm having a hard time thinking of any. I guess I'll go with the first chapter of Half-Blood Prince. I find this to be a more subtle and enjoyable way of recapping the previous books than what Voldemort usually does, and I'm a fan. Honorable mentions. The Shrieking Shack scene with all the plot twists in The Prisoner of Azkaban.
I agree, Mott's.
Indeed, Mott's. Well put, Mott's.
It was anonymous. I just think this is Mott's.
If it sounds like it's going
said.
to end with "in this essay, I will," like,
And also, if it starts with "Oh God," this is a great one. Hermione losing her shit and slapping Draco. Yes.
yeah.
Well,
On first reading, the time travel in book 3 because it was so unexpected. But Fred and George deciding they haven't enough education, thanks, is an iconic favorite moment from book 5. I love that that's been shouted out several times because it is so good. Harry being right about Malfoy for a whole book, but nobody believing him because his hunches have usually been very wrong.
yeah.
Shout out to the time turner. We got a couple time turners. Learning the truth about Sirius at the end of book 3. Learning the truth about the Horcruxes in book 6. The moments in the Ravenclaw Tower before the final battle. And finally, Neville pulling the sword from the sorting hat and killing Nagini.
Fucking
As Nigel
chef's
says in the
kiss.
chat, so many great moments. I totally agree. Okay, guys, it's coming up
The
on me.
crazy
It's coming up
thing
on me.
is you just mentioned so many different things that all hit so hard. You know what I mean?
I know. So
Yeah.
this book series does have value. It just does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against all odds.
I was also thinking about the chapter when Harry's alone in Diagon Alley in book 3, and it's like
the
he's
ice
left,
cream.
Yeah, and he's just
pulling a
left to his
Brooke.
own devices for the first time, and he's having fun.
What did he
totally.
say? Diagonally.
Diagonally. And the next question is, what has been your favorite season of the restricted section? For some reason, nobody voted for season 2. Is that because that's the season when all of our husbands and brothers were our guests? We only knew husbands and brothers back then.
I think
5% said season 5, 10% said season 1, 15% said season 7, 20% each seasons 3 and 4, and 30% said season 6.
I think 3 was a magical season because I think, for at least personally, 3 was when I first started realizing, like, oh, there's some big issues. Like, there's some real big fucking issues with this book.
I totally agree with you. And that's the season where we started having real guests on.
Yeah.
Which is very fun. Like, having guests on has been one of my favorite parts of this podcast.
Yeah, that was a good call.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a favorite season? I feel like that's a weird one. It's kind of hard to remember.
Yeah, they all kind of blend together for me, but I do think that, like, when we were covering book 4, it, like, which would be season 4, it just, that was when we had kind of found our formula, found our stride. Like, we knew what we were doing against all of the evidence of, earlier today. We kind of had our system figured out, and we learned to work together, like, as podcast hosts. Like we'd figured out how to work with guests. Like, it was when we were still deep in the story and, like, the adventure of it all. But
it was pre-Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, but, like, we were kind of hitting our stride, like, as a podcast.
Totally.
Well, in finding our voice in a way, right? Because I think there was a certain point where all of us felt like we had to be positive. And without talking about it and without being specific or, like, direct to each other, we kind of realized, like, we don't have to be.
Yeah, are you talking about the writing, like, or the author stuff, like everything? Yeah, I think you're right, but I think the author revealing herself enabled us. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that especially right after she published those tweets, there was like 6 months of us being like, business as usual, and then, like, something switched and we were like, no, you suck and we're gonna roast your writing now.
We had to have that one bonus episode to just unpack it, because there was a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
And once we unpacked it, we were just like, okay, you guys know the deal. Like,
I remember asking Haley, is the title for this episode J.K. Rowling is canceled? Too inflammatory?
And I was like, nah, dude. Honestly, she's been canceled for a hot minute.
Yeah. My favorite season was season 6, because after Order of the Phoenix, which I hated with all my heart, Half-Blood Prince was very fun and sexy and, like, energetic. Like, I loved season 6, and you guys may remember me being like, I think we like Harry Potter again, y'all.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice to watch. It was nice to watch you getting your second wind.
Well, and, like, going back to the author thing, in season 5, I was like, is Harry Potter ruined because of the author? And then we got to book 6 and it was like, no, it's not ruined. You know, like, it's not ruined. I can still enjoy this book and roast the author.
Yeah.
Next question. What has been your favorite restricted section bonus episode unlocked on the main feed or Patreon exclusive? Some answers. Just shout out if you liked that one. Pretending there's a good/bad debate for Snape. The hardest trivia episode ever. Shout out to Mom.
Which trivia episode? No, wait. That was
there were plural trivia episodes.
Sorting Bob's Burgers characters. Easy. The My Immortal one. Love that one.
Yeah.
My Immortal, as someone who didn't get to be on that episode and fought to be on it but could not get on it.
Too many people wanted
there was
it.
Too many people.
Beautiful
The My
episode.
Immortal episode might be my favorite thing we've ever recorded.
I'm thinking of releasing that on the Burn Before Reading feed.
I wouldn't blame you.
I support it.
Literally, we did so much screaming and, like, just cackling.
I did so much research, Christina.
Yeah, the research.
My voice was hoarse for, like, days after I did that. And also, like, that was, like, I was pretty recently postpartum. I think Freya was only, like, 3 months old or something like that when we did
I know,
that.
I was like, Brooke, I would like to specially schedule you.
Yeah, and I remember, this is so dumb, but I remember getting Taco Bell on the way home from that.
Oh, are you talking about the live stream that we did at the Hiltons?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I feel really good about this. Like, I feel good about my life. Like, everything's gonna be okay. I left the house. I feel like an adult again.
Yeah.
What was the question fully again?
What has been your favorite bonus episode on
Bonus
and then I said,
okay.
yeah, bonus episode period. Someone says there was Snape, all the Mad Libs, Mott's trivia. It was so random.
Mott's trivia was so frustratingly
Mott's could
fun.
make such a killing if he would publish that shit.
I know.
Yeah.
The Behind the Bastards episode you did on Lockhart. Shout out to Andrew. Fight Club.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone tell me who you think wrote this answer. Do you want to guess before I read it?
Before
Is
you
it gonna
read
be
it.
Mott's?
It's Mott's. This might sound a bit narcissistic, but the trivia episodes, they are the most fun I've ever had guessing on any podcast, not just the restricted section. And listening to them means I can relive them and it makes me feel really good. So those mean a lot to me. Mott's, I love you. Soup salad sandwich, classic. There's like 4 things on our YouTube, and one of them is the compilation of Mike saying soup.
Soup. It's definitely a soup. A soup. Soup. I think this is definitely its final form is soup. Somewhere in a parallel universe, that's a soup. Jello is just in a highly evolved form of soup that is broken through the 4th dimension. Ron, sexy, freckled dick soup. I think I'm going to say something controversial here. I'm going to say soup. It's a sexy soup. Definitely a soup. You would only hear murderous voices as if it was a soup.
The soup cut is worth listening to. If you don't, for whatever reason, know what we're talking about.
I'll link it in the show notes. Check out the soup.
Gonna have to go
cut.
with soup. It's definitely a soup.
Yeah, I'm gonna say soup.
J.K. Rowling is canceled for serious reasons, and My Immortal for decidedly not being serious. Also, Mott's incredibly difficult quiz. Behind the Magical Bastards, My Immortal. That's all of them. That's all of them, gang. I also really liked me, Andrew, and Leela did Harry Potter Sounds Like a Cult. I really enjoyed that one as well.
That was fun. I will say, any of you who said Behind the Magical Bastards, I love you. That's fantastic. I'm glad that people like that.
Sean popped in the chat alien or wizard, which I appreciate because
that one was so
we
good.
didn't know what we were doing. That episode turned into alien or wizard halfway through.
It started out as wizard or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Turned into alien or wizard. A lot of people who aren't wizards are aliens. Okay, who has... Oh, and I also would like to say, in a couple months here, I will be posting all of the restricted section bonus episodes publicly on Google Drive. So if you just like follow us on social media or hang out in the Discord, you'll get that link eventually. Obviously, huge shout out to our patrons who made the podcast possible, for whom we produce those bonus episodes. But I'm the kind of person where I'd rather them be listened to. So I'm going to be posting them publicly, permanently, in a couple months here. I also need to shout out the sorting SpongeBob characters episode that me, Haley, and Taylor took very seriously. That came out earlier this month.
Yeah, we butted heads on some of those.
I know, it was dramatic. Mary Clay said, did I do any bonus episodes? Yes, Mary Clay, you did any bonus episodes.
Can I be back in 60 seconds?
What are you doing?
I'm running off to do
Go.
one thing real quick. I'll be right back.
He's shitting.
I'm not shitting.
He's shitting.
Close, but no.
Do we want to swap Mary Clay in? She seems like she's just begging to unmute and turn her video camera on.
Yeah, Mary Clay, hop
I'm
in.
popping in for a cameo. You bet
Hey! What is this, a crossover?
I was gonna say you're on your couch with a blanket crocheting. That is what you are currently doing.
Mary Clay, you did the Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode? Bonus episode? You did Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?
This is where you insert the I have
Have
no memory of this place clip.
Quite literally, I said in our chat, the way that my memory functions with this podcast. So for the survey, I chose season 1 is my favorite because it's the only one I have a memory of. It goes.
You did a Harry Potter Christmas?
It goes the in-person episodes that we did at your place. Nothing. 5 years of
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
And then whatever we did in the past month.
Okay. And then those are the only bonus episodes you've done, though.
Yeah. Oh, I love whenever I made you guys watch a Harry Potter musical.
Yeah, I loved that
Actually,
too.
real talk, that is, I would say, one of my general favorite memories of this podcast because a Harry Potter musical and Team Star Kid is something that, like, I was very into in high school. It was very formative of, like, who I was. And
Yeah.
yes, I understand. We all had different high school experiences. That's okay. You guys You guys did drugs. I made homemade t-shirts to go to Team Star Kid concerts with my friends.
Mary Clay, do you want to just be on the rest of the episode?
No, I'll wrap up this point because I know the audio is not going to be that great. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm really glad that like I had such a great memory of like watching that with you guys. And
Yeah, I loved it.
And realizing their Dumbledore was basically Andrew.
So true.
We don't speak truths like that.
Okay, bye, Mary Clay. We have to finish the episode.
yeah, thank
Bye.
you. This is great.
Love
Bye.
Bye, babe.
Love you.
Bye.
I just remembered that we recorded a whole episode of just reading the Christmas chapters, just as like raw, cozy
Yeah,
audiobook.
well,
and
somebody shouted that out, so just wait.
I simply loved
We did
recording
do
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved recording that.
Haley, your mom did that. That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, she did the first book.
I have never felt like I did a worse job than when I recorded my chapter of that.
I remember because like I edited that and you were mad.
I was not happy.
He was
with-
like, fuck, as he was like starting paragraphs
I
over
was
again.
not happy with how bad I was doing because I wanted to do so well on that, and I did.
And I was
so
just like, hey
poorly.
man, I'm editing it. Like, you don't have to feel this
Like,
bad.
hey, I'm going to use magic to make you sound not dumb, and I was like, no, I'm going to sound terrible.
Okay, y'all, it's time for the question. I would like to hear every single one of you answer this, and your answer cannot be yourself.
Okay.
Who has been your favorite restricted section host?
Haley.
Andrew.
Can't say yourself, Brooke.
I wasn't going to. I'm really trying to think about it. Honestly, yeah, I think you, Christina, like
Yeah. Honestly, I could say Christina as well.
No.
Well, Christina goes without saying.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of
refuses.
doesn't, though. I don't think the whole podcast works without her as, like,
True,
the core
true.
pillar.
Can we take a moment to hijack this from Christina to make her force listen to us say that she is an incredibly entertaining person
Yeah.
and that she has done such a fucking amazing job with this podcast? And
Yes.
genuinely to be a part of it has been a joy, and thank you. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely.
You are an excellent mediator of large group conversations.
Yes.
And you've only gotten better. You keep every episode moving. We all go off on tangents, we all go off on
Mhm.
monologues. It happens every episode, and you keep everybody in the world from finding out how annoying we are.
And it's grown so far beyond this podcast. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think when we sat down at your table at your invitation to just chat about Harry Potter that any of us could have even, like wildest dreams predicted that we would have a community and have met
Yeah.
friends through this and have developed, you know, and I say we, it's you is the
It's
thing,
you.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Developed like an entire podcast network, and like you're an amazing person that we are all lucky to be friends with outside of this, but also
Yes.
watching you use all of your incredible strengths that you have with people and creativity and comedy and watching you apply it to this has truly been really incredible to watch.
Yes.
Tina, you're able to get people who do not have any experience with media or multimedia or anything to come in and to be honest and open and to share their opinions. And
And
it's-
comfortable
It
doing
is
so. People who are
yes.
afraid of public speaking. I watch you do it a lot because I'm
It's
one of the two
absolutely
go-tos for those
amazing.
episodes.
It is genuinely amazing.
Well, I love watching you put people at ease and get them to have fun.
And to be honest and open and to share, and you're so inviting and so kind. And I'm
Success! She wrote
Sorry.
Sorry to make you cry,
But we do
this
love
is
you a lot.
amazing. And we love you, and this is just
There's no more fitting expression of our love than to make this a very fucking Hufflepuff episode.
absolutely.
We're
I
all
love you
about.
guys a lot.
We love you too, babe.
We love you so much.
I love you too. My favorite co-host is Leela because she's really funny.
That's totally fair.
Just make you cry. I get it. It's fine.
Oh my god. Guys. Oh my god.
We got it in right at the 11th
I'm so
hour.
sorry.
It's okay. No, it's
You knew
good.
you were
It
going
had
to
to
cry.
happen.
It's good
It had to
podcast
happen.
content.
It's you're starting to sound like Frodo in Return of the fucking King. It's gone. It's done. I'm glad to be with you, Christina Khan, here at the end of all things. And you, Andrew, and you, Brooke.
Yeah.
You guys are very sweet to me, and you are beloved to me. And the reason you're on this final episode is because you are my safety safes, you know?
Oh.
When people like trip on hallucinogens for the first time, they tell you to find like an object or a place that is your safety safe in case you like have trouble later. You guys are my safety safes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I do regret to inform you guys that Andrew, Brooke, and Leela each had 5% of the favorite DRS host.
Yo, I'm shocked
ratings.
anyone voted for me.
Mary Clay and I tied at 19%, and Haley wins with a shocking 47%.
I just want to point out that I actually beat Haley because somehow I got more than a tenth of the amount of votes that
Somehow.
Haley got, which that's unexpected. I mean, everyone knew Haley was going to win. She's fucking fantastic,
I
but
still can't account for it.
there's no accounting.
There's
just
no accounting
you.
for taste. You're very right.
We just need you, and no amount of deflection or trying to minimize this is going to take away from the fact that Haley, you're
Yes.
fucking amazing. You are
And
fantastic.
Mary Clay said should be higher in the chat.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Haley, even though she is always mad at her computer and shows up late and mad at me.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad in general.
She gets it on me. And that one time in 2020 when my dad said, "Who's that funny smart girl?" and he was talking about Haley.
I would like to take a moment for myself as most improved, because last time we did this, I got no votes. I was one of the only people that got none. So
Yes, most improved, Brooke. Yes. All right, next question. Who has been your favorite restricted section guest?
it's got to be Adel, man. He's
okay. Adel had 5 votes. I will
have
say.
some solid votage behind him.
I think Danny's going to be in there.
oh yeah,
Okay.
Danny's great.
Okay.
Oh,
Great guesses.
Absolutely should be.
Are
yeah.
these representative of y'all's favorite
Oh yes,
guests?
I'm saying yeah. For
Also that.
Yeah.
for me, I really
Yeah.
loved recording with Adel.
Okay.
Recording with Danny was one of the most fun recordings I've ever had.
Danny's awesome.
I was waiting
By
to
far.
to introduce you to.
Yeah, we have Adele. We have Danny.
Adele's
we have
great. Yes.
Zach and Alex. We have Sam.
Yes.
Someone said all the Discord folks. I love that too because I really have enjoyed getting to know people and then having the opportunity to record with them. Several people said Adel. The highest voted TRS guest has been Mott's with 9 votes.
That's our boy!
That's my boy.
That's our
my son.
son!
Yeah. I also want to shout out Nav and Harmit from Song of Ice and Fire
Yes.
Symposium. They were awesome. I also want to shout out Zach from Belated Binge.
Yes.
He's
True,
been
true.
awesome. I'm trying to think of other like recurring guests.
I can say there. I'm going to be honest. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but there were a few people that I recorded with like 2 or 3 times, and all of them were just fantastic.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay. And he doesn't even know who you are, but
Yeah.
you were great.
Harry Potter and the Boys is like classically
Oh
great.
my God. Radio
Radio
Mike.
Mike's
How could I
so
forget?
fun to
Oh my
record
God. And
with.
Brooke, remember who are the smart ones? What was their called?
Oh yeah, what was it?
Harry Potter University or something
Yeah.
like that? That can't be what they
It
were
was
called.
something. But yes, that was an incredible recording. It was probably the smartest I've ever been able to have a discussion on this podcast. No.
Potterversity. Katie and Emily from Potterversity. That was an awesome episode. Brooke and I were both in shock from how academic that ended up
Yes.
being. This is our penultimate item. We are almost done. What has been your favorite restricted section episode or moment? And it kind of blends into the next question, but just shout out if you have any ideas, or else I'm going to start reading and you can say me too. Watching the evolution from too many people around a table to a well-produced episode where people don't get quite as stoned.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Andrew singing the Sorting Hat song.
Yeah, that's a highlight,
Amazing.
definite highlight.
Yeah. Book 4, Veritaserum episode. I loved that. Haley, that was you, me, and Zach from Belated Binge.
Oh, yeah.
Can I throw one out real quick?
Please.
The episode right before COVID, when it was you,
Wasn't
me,
that the one where
and
you
Haley.
sang the
That
Sorting
was the
Hat
I
Sorting
think
Hat
it was that
It was
one.
the Sorting Hat episode.
But
it was really good. And that honestly was very helpful in me being like, wait, 3 is better than 8.
3 is better than 8, yeah. But no, that's one that will always stick out in my mind because the constant jokes that we made that like in 2 weeks were just terrible.
Yeah, no, we were okay. Yes, the episode before that is the one that's really cringe. We're like, oh, we're all in Tina's house. Don't worry, we washed our hands.
Yeah.
Whereas that episode is
upsetting.
much more like all of us sitting around with lit cigarettes, like, all right, listen
What
here.
does the future hold?
We know that coming up, it's going to be hard.
J.K. Rowling is canceled. Harry Potter for Beginners. Oh my God, with Mia and Toria and Anna trying to tell me what. Do you remember that? Toria kept saying Hogwarts College.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone said the Chaos first ever episode. Someone said will and won't. Harry Potter Versatory really blew my mind with that one. Burke and I were right there with you. Whenever you read listener emails, I also loved the listener emails.
I love listener emails. That's my favorite.
That one episode when Haley forgot she wasn't scheduled but showed up anyway. I forgot
Well,
that happened.
can I pull back the screen a little bit and let people know that, like, for Haley and I, there were times that you would get texted, like an hour to 5 hours before the time.
Leela joined that list very quickly when I realized that she didn't have a lot of extracurriculars.
Right. But, like, I'm saying, like, there were times that we got to, like, just jump in. And I don't know about you, Haley, but, like, those were some of my most fun times.
Yeah.
Where it's,
Because it's like, I've got nothing else going on today.
Yeah.
But I think that, sometimes it was like you were having trouble scheduling something and you were like shuffling a bunch of things around. So sometimes you would be like, hey, can you be available this night? And like, then get somebody else in the system of shuffling. And I think that was what happened there because it was in my planner because I keep a paper planner because I'm ancient.
She is. Also, while we're in this vein, I just want to give a huge shout out to Charlie, Taylor, Robert.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Josh, several people in our Deus Ex Media community who would just step up, and especially in this last season when people were starting to get burned out, and Andrew got this new job, and I was like, "Who will be there for me when someone canceled?" And all these people said, "I will," and I was like, "Oh God, thank God, thank God." And Ethan, and just huge shout out to the Deus Ex Media peeps.
Such a beautiful community of wonderful, helpful friends that came to us from this podcast that we never, ever could have expected.
I know.
Can I also say thank you to all the people who brought me onto their podcast? Because, like, I never
Charlie
expected.
And Ray.
Multiple people have brought me on, and Sam did also brought me. I'm so thankful. Like, that was absolutely amazing. Never expected that when we first started, that people would actually want us to contribute to their podcast.
I know. Someone said somewhere in the middle, before it became less of a chore to finish the series, and when both Haley and Andrew were on the same episode, that happened multiple times. Several people said side note, don't worry, it's going to come back again.
God damn it.
The epilogue episode, I miss the chaos. Cloacas. Getting drunk and recording my Immortal while the power went out and came back. And someone said any episode with Tina and Mary Clay, which I love that.
Yeah. It's always a good combo.
Sam says, I would like to inform everyone that in the time this podcast has been recording, I have prepared a whole radio show, walked home from work, and I'm now getting ready to go Christmas shopping and go to therapy. Okay, good for you,
Sam,
Sam.
we are so fucking proud of you.
We're very proud of you.
Isn't it nice having all that youthful energy, Sam? Enjoy it while it lasts.
Favorite running joke from the podcast is pretty similar as before. We got lots of side narts. People loved side narts. It stuck out in their memory.
Yeah, everybody's a fucking critic.
Everyone's a side nerd.
All about the drama, baby.
Yeah.
All about
I
the drama.
love
That is just
6 people said that as their answer. All about the drama. 6 people
and
said
they
that.
were correct because
It
Haley
applies-
fucking nailed it. With
It
that.
applies to every wizard. It's not just Harry Potter. If you want
It's
to
true.
determine is it a wizard, is it not a wizard, are their choices determined by being all about the drama? That's
Yeah,
it.
I'm rewatching Chronicles of Narnia, and when Santa Claus shows up, I'm like, total wizard.
Wizard.
He's so dramatic. Sleepy Joanne got a shout out. And I think that's a Leela original, if I remember correctly. Like I said, that bitch is funny. Mott's Thoughts, Q singing. Anyone?
Thoughts.
There
Thank
it
you.
is.
Just a Joke Rolling has a special place in my heart. Somebody else said random names for her /JR/Joanne. Quote, does Buckbeak have a butthole or a cloaca? Unquote. Every time cloacas come up in my daily life now, I think of you guys. I'm so honored.
Thank you. Truly, we
You're
won't be able to thank you enough.
welcome.
Get the fuck out of my house is still my fave.
Yeah.
Calling J.K. Rowling that bitch, so that's a shout out to that name.
That
and
bitch.
spending 20 minutes reading and analyzing a 4-star review that insulted all of the hosts and continuing to reference it episode after episode. Shout out to you, Leaf Glore, or right? Wasn't it like Leaf Glore?
Something like, listen, if you're here, please stand up. Please. I would
Will the
love
real
nothing
Leaf
more.
Glore please stand up? Please stand up.
That review, we
real,
bring
though.
that up off air.
It's foundational.
That is the foundational part of our friend
Yeah,
group
4
at this
out of
point.
5 stars.
4 out of 5 stars. I fucking hate you guys.
I don't think it's that hidden that like my style of comedy is making people laugh when they don't want to laugh, and
That's
like
why you rely on puns so much.
yeah, exactly, and like that review was just so perfect.
It was really good.
Oh,
It was really good. I remember where I was when I read it for the first
be
time.
still my
I was-
heart.
I was in the brewery where Josh and I both worked.
Oh my god! I remember getting to just a girl who's not like other girls. Like, oh
Okay, guys, this is the last item on the restricted section forever. I am crying. I'm really emotional.
hold it together, man.
The wine didn't help. I just asked
You
for
thought it would help.
No, I didn't.
I
but I was
can't
like, I'm
wait.
not going out of this not drinking.
Right, like you can't do the last
It's
episode
Christmas,
sober.
Andrew. It's Christmas. Like 3 weeks ago, Emily and I were talking about hanging out on Christmas with her mom, and she just gave me this deadly serious stare, and she said, "Let's get day drunk." So right now, I am day drunk.
I mean, did I mention that I'm drinking eggnog with Jack Daniels?
No, you didn't. I'm
Everybody-
glad you are.
I'm being seasonally appropriate.
Yes.
I am working right now, but just know that the moment that I get
On
off,
Christmas.
the moment that I get off, I am drinking so hard. So hard.
Brooke, how about you?
I'm also going to be drinking a lot of eggnog.
Just a different kind without the Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I just like the raw egg sliding down my throat.
That's disgusting. When I was young, I ate 3 dozen eggs every day to help me get large.
And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs. So I'm roughly the size of a barge. We are now being sued by Disney.
Okay, guys. Final messages from our listeners. It's final. The first one just says, "Love you all," and I just love you guys. I love everyone who helped me make this podcast, and I love all the listeners.
Agreed. Hard agree.
Hard agree.
I love everyone at this bar.
Thanks for so many great seasons and hours of entertainment. Thank you all so goddamn much. You'll never know how much this show means to me. Where I was in my life when I found it versus where I am now is a huge change, and the community around the restricted section is part of why I was able to make such good changes for myself.
Oh
I'm
man.
sorry.
Oh, my glasses are fogging up.
I'm crying because that makes me so happy. Okay.
You got this because the rest of us don't, so please just read it.
I'm going to miss getting to hear you all get together and rant. It felt like I had a bunch of friends talking about something I loved, and now we've all slowly started hating it together. And we were unified through that hatred, or at least extreme apathy, but we'll always be united by that feeling.
Hey, can I just point out real quick? You didn't sound like you had friends. Like, we believe the same shit you do. We don't hide anything. Like, if you agree with us, you fucking agree with us. Like,
you ain't alone. You seriously ain't alone.
Seriously, like, I appreciate the relationship that we have with you all, and I hope you know, like, we don't lie to you. We don't present a fake version of ourselves. Honestly, most of us don't even present like a
character.
Right, like, it's just us. And if you have connected with us, just know that, like, you have connected with us. I will promise you that.
This is a very small operation, and we appreciate all of you individually.
Yes, I think you guys can probably account for the fact that I don't have fake or halfway friends.
No.
All I have are true friends, and if you're listening and if you like me, you're just in it. Like, you're just in it. All I want is more friends.
Hufflepuff energy.
Thank you for keeping me from losing my mind at work. Thank you. The Restricted Section has become one of my comfort shows. This person said, I really loved the Christmas chapters you put on Patreon last year. It was such a lovely surprise. Since it's that time of year again, I'm probably going to revisit them. And then I added a note for myself because I knew I'd be drinking to say that I'm just going to put them in a Google Drive so that everyone can listen to them today if they want to, since it's Christmas right now. I just want to thank you for seeing the podcast through to the end of the books. It's been a long and very enjoyable time. It has been the first thing I listen to every Wednesday, so I will have to find something to replace it or start a re-listen in 2025. Hey, can I tell you about a show called Burn Before Reading every Wednesday?
Absolutely.
It is seriously very good.
It's really
Same energy.
fucking good. It's
Same
so
energy.
good.
Better writing.
Oddly.
I love the book club and lurking on Discord, and I'm enjoying Burn Before Reading, so I'm glad it's not truly goodbye just yet. And for the record, if you're in the book club in the Discord and Burn Before Reading, there's not a goodbye in sight, so please don't say just yet. I can't take it right now. And I will take the opportunity to say that our Discord server book club is like one of my proudest accomplishments. Our friend Taylor started that, and like, it is so important to me. Obviously our Discord community is very important to me, but that book club, Becca in the chat is saying, thank God, I don't know what I'd do without book club. I completely agree. Like, that book club is so important to me, and like, you can join it to $1 a month. That's like nothing to be in our Discord and to have access to our book club, which is awesome. And we read fucking A Christmas Carol for this month, and I love Christmas Carol, and I'm thinking about it right now because I'm like, when I'm really sad after I finish recording this episode, I'm gonna go read A Christmas Carol.
That'll cheer me up, Dickens.
Yeah, exactly. Someone said, I want to shout out Andrew's journey with Snape over the course of the podcast. And Andrew, I want to shout that out too, because Andrew and I have been friends since like 2014. Andrew and I have been friends for 10 years. And I was actually at brunch this morning with Becca and Anna, and we were telling Becca, when I met Andrew, he used to wear yellow polos and Pose shoes, and she was like, what? And like, your character development over the past 10 years has been incredible, and I really think that your shifted perspective on Snape's character is like a microcosm of that, and I'm just really glad someone shouted it out, because you're awesome, dude, and like, I just really think that that's an awesome note. I told you, Brooke, yesterday that I would make Andrew cry. Look at his eyes.
Yep. I have been crying for the last like 10 minutes. That's not something that I've been doing.
before we filmed or recorded, rather, that Snape
Thinks
episode.
we film. He still doesn't know what we do here.
I don't know the right words. Before we recorded that, I vividly remembered the first season when Brooke brought up that she was going to bring back my view of Snape. And during the episode, I made an attempt to try and answer everything in a way that, even knowing that, would not allow her to claim that she changed my opinion, but rather that my opinion had naturally changed. And here's the thing. Brooke changed my opinion. I don't want to admit it, but Brooke planted those seeds that throughout the recordings and throughout rereading everything, I realized, like, I can't support this guy. But like, I just want to make sure that that's on record. This whole series has been a series of those experiences where my friends have allowed me to reach these points where I've realized these great, wonderful things and have given me an opportunity to actually analyze a series that I know really well and that I love, and actually analyze it and actually think about it. And it's okay if you don't support this thing that you like.
It's like, do I like everything about it? Do I dislike everything about it? And it's neither.
And it's okay to have complicated feelings on things. And like, nothing would make me happier than to know after the fact that someone was able to come to a complex relationship with this series because of listening to our words.
Reach a level of nuance that maybe hadn't been revealed from quite that angle.
From everything I'm hearing today and from everything that has led up to this moment, I just think we've been able to do that. I'm crying, but I'm so happy because it seems like we did that.
It's a really wonderful feeling to be proud of yourself, but
Yeah.
to paraphrase Dumbledore, it's an even better feeling to be proud of your friends.
100%.
Sorry, Tina.
Sorry,
It's okay.
Tina.
I just love you guys so much. But I actually am friends with you guys in real life, so I can hang out with you whenever I want to. Our last note is just, y'all did great. You didn't have to stick it out, but you did. And now this series is complete for anyone to enjoy and binge in the future. And I think that's just excellent. Y'all should be proud.
We didn't even plan that! That was so symmetrical!
Well, I moved it to the end because I knew it would be a nice button on the episode.
I mean, I'm fucking proud.
Yeah.
I feel like I did very little, but I'm still very proud. Tina, I just hope you're proud because you have done an incredible job with this.
Mary Clay, what does your note say, you bitch? I read all of them. No, her note just said kissy face. In the chat, she was like, you missed my note. She only did the fucking survey to vote for herself. Oh my god. Nigel in the chat is saying we should all be proud. Whoa. And I frankly am proud. I'm sorry, I know this isn't good. Penny, my dear beloved Penny, is really worried about me right now because I don't cry very often, but I've dealt with a lot of guilt and shame about this podcast and a lot of like wondering if we were doing the right thing. And I just really think we were, because it brought me all of these new friends and all of these new perspectives. And that's just been really important to me. And if this podcast is there for someone who feels really complicated about it, I know this sounds really bad. I'm sorry. I can't stop thinking about me editing this tomorrow.
Good fucking luck.
At this point, she's crying about thinking about that.
I'm just very happy if this podcast makes sense to anyone.
Yeah.
If it's hard for anyone else, and if the nuance makes sense to anyone else. And like, not to be this way, but like the real podcast was the friends we made along the way.
If nothing else, this has brought us to the fact that like a whole lot of people probably had their first experience really analyzing something and without guilt coming to conclusions that they hadn't before. And that's a beautiful thing.
And every guest that I think I've recorded, like, I think any of us have recorded with, have been really likable people, have become friends, become people that we get updates on their lives, and we're happy to. And it speaks well to like a natural curation of good folks. Like everyone who's come to this community from this podcast, and by extension the listenership, is a bunch of good eggs. We've got ourselves a bunch of good eggs, guys.
Yeah,
I totally
please,
agree.
If you have ever been a part of this in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Like,
Andrew, you're unreachable.
I'm
Why
unreachable, but
that?
if you find a way, I would love to hear from you.
Just like DM me and I'll send it to him.
Yeah, because like you have opened my eyes to so many different views and realities of what this series means. And at the end of the day, while we might no longer support the person who created this is something that has brought us so many points of connection and so many like-minded people through something that has been attempted to be robbed from us. And the reality is, even through being critical, we have said, no, you don't get to take this from us.
It belongs to us.
Yeah. We will criticize you and we will judge you. But at the end of the day, we get to still hold on to this.
We get to have fun.
We get to decide what the story is to us.
This universe is not yours to actually change. Sure, we might have to accept that wizards shat in the hall up until the 1700s. But
I'm glad that came up.
We don't have to accept that they're fucking bigots. The core point of it is just a story that we love and we want to share, and it might not be perfect, but I think at the end of it, a lot of us have to find like we love it despite its imperfections and in spite of the fucking creator, right?
I think the podcast has done for us what the series did for us when we were kids. When we were kids, the meat of that story is the way that the world feels filled out. There's all these recurring characters. You're always hearing back from Ernie Macmillan. Like, and he doesn't
and
matter.
Ernie was a good guy in the end.
And he was. But like,
I'm feeling emotional.
We met him when he
Macmillan.
was 12. Exactly. Like, when you reread the series as a kid, when you were waiting for that next book, you felt less alone. You felt like you were getting to visit your secret school with your secret friends that was nothing like your shitty school full of assholes. And getting to do this podcast and meet all of these friends through this podcast kind of is the closest I've come to that experience over such a long period of time, too. Like, we've been doing this for 4 years?
5
years. I can't
count. Not that
count.
I've been counting.
And, like, we've met so many awesome people and, like, become involved in their lives. We've gone to people's weddings, like, and funerals, and like, we're integrated into each other's friendships. Like, the listeners have become genuine friends, and, like, friends with each other, having nothing to do with us. And it's like a real life expression of what the book series meant. It made us feel less alone when we were kids, and now, despite the fact that the author is a fucking bitch and just making bitch choices.
She really is.
She's
She
making
really
the
is.
choices that make you a bitch. We have found that same camaraderie in the book series and in real life.
Absolutely. And know that we appreciate you no matter what level of collaboration or interaction you had with us. Every single one of you, we appreciate you. Seriously.
I just want to shout out the chat. Nigel said, every one of you should be proud in all honesty. Ashley said, you've gotten me through a marriage, 2 moves, career changes, buying a home, infertility. You're all my safe space. I've so enjoyed your company. Thank you. Oh. Becca says, the community you've built means more than you know to so many people. Mary Clay says she'll be crying while she's editing. Niall Dame, you're new. I'm not sure who you are, but said, you guys made me feel less alone. I appreciate you all. Takena said, getting involved in this community definitely pulled me out of my new mom void. It's just been amazing to connect with such a caring and fun group. Sean said, proud of you all for sticking through it and creating a positive community and bringing it home. Charlie says, I wouldn't have OTEG and my current podcast without TRS. And I just want to shout out Charlie really hard because in the beginning, when there was nothing, there was Charlie. And that was really, really important to me. Charlie's been with me since the very beginning.
Charlie, you're a fucking champion.
Yes, I absolutely agree. It's the end. Like, we're at the end right now, and it is late, and it's time to wrap it up. And I'm feeling a lot of emotions, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't wrap it up. So I just want to give you guys the opportunity. Does anyone else have any last things to say to the restricted section? Thank you. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Genuinely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, all of you got us through a plague. Like, we got ourselves through it by doing this for fun, and all of you kept us feeling like we were putting something worthwhile into the world.
Yeah.
In the midst of garbage.
In the midst of garbage, you gave us a safe space to recognize the problems with something that we held sacred.
Yeah, like I've never had to confront the idea of a problematic fave so hard before until this,
To be honest, if it hadn't been for such a receptive audience, I don't think we would have been able to have made that realization and to have made that turn as hard as we did, because I can still remember the episodes where I first started. And I mean, I'm not saying that it was me, but like,
the end of the very first episode, I said, it's like coming home, isn't it? And everyone said, yeah.
And it is exactly like coming home, because that's what coming home feels like. It's like, oh, this is going to be so warm and snuggly. And then it's like, oh, now I remember.
Wait, I actually just remembered that I moved out for a reason.
With my new perspective, I'm starting to see some weird dynamics here.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone understands and appreciates, if you have a project, just do it. Just fucking do it, because you might be lucky enough to create a fucking community.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Seriously though, just go for it. Just fucking go for it.
We love all of you listeners. This has been an absolute pleasure, even while it was my Sisyphusian task. It has been an absolute pleasure. I love each and every one of you individually, and that's real. And that's it. Like, we did it, and this is the end. Merry Christmas. Andrew and I are both like weeping, and Haley and Brooke are both just like giggling and thinking of bed.
I'm thinking specifically of the band on the Titanic.
Oh my god.
Gentlemen, it has been the privilege of a lifetime playing with you.
It truly has. I love each and every one of you so much, and it's the end of the restricted section, and I'm fine because I have another better podcast that I'm going to focus on.
Please, everyone, switch
to Burn Before Reading. It is
Wait,
so
no, but like for
fucking
real, I
good.
can't emphasize how many more listeners this podcast has than that one. And I just really need you guys to go listen to Burn Before
I
It's
Reading.
can't
completely funny.
emphasize how much better Burn Before Reading is.
Well, and
Like, please.
if you've been like really jamming with this because of like our dynamics or whatever, there's a lot of that in Burn Before
There's
Reading.
a lot
Also,
of
you
that.
meet a lot of the Ho train over there. So if you've been like, if you've
Yes.
been curious about the mythological Ho train, you hear a lot. You'll get
They're
them.
all over there.
Yeah, it's like the essential oils, like ode to Ho train over there.
And like, this is the end. It's the end of this podcast.
You are ending the podcast at this time.
I'm ending it at this time.
Should you say get the fuck out of the podcast?
yes,
Get the fuck out of this podcast. Get the fuck out of this podcast. It's over. It's over.